everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be going over masculine and feminine energy within. If you guys are new here and this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. My name is Barbara. Welcome to the channel. So we're going to give the people a few minutes to come into the room, to come into the chat. So if you guys are interested in getting your own natal chart reading, progress natal chart reading, synastry reading, I also have one question readings, and I also have mini natal chart readings. If you guys are interested in any of that, the information is going to be in the description box below. You guys can go on my website underneath the readings tab. You guys can select which reading you guys would like. Send me an email window should pop up, and then we'll go from there. The turnaround time always varies depending on the volume. Hey Mary, how you guys doing? What is up? What's new? Today we're going to be talking about masculine and feminine energy first, and then I'll be answering your astrology questions second. So you guys can feel free to type the astrology questions in the chat. I will get to them afterwards. Hey Paul, hey Clarice, how are you guys doing? I'm going to be talking about masculine and feminine energy. So I'm going to be speaking on that first, and then afterwards, if you guys have any astrology questions or even about the topic, happy full moon. Yes, it is a full moon in Cancer today. Happy full moon, you guys. Check where you guys have Cancer in your natal chart. That's basically going to be the area of life where something is going to be closing out for you. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the topic of the day. So today we're going to be talking about masculine and feminine energy within. Hey, Sue loves astrology. How are you doing? You guys can feel free to comment your questions, and I will get to them after. Hey, Concerned, yes, I saw that you said you are at the ocean. Whereabouts are you? I was just at the ocean this past weekend. So you have your moon in Cancer, so you're extra going to be feeling it. Let me know what house do you have your Cancer energy in, okay? That's how you guys will know what house is being affected by this current full moon. You guys can do that for absolutely any other transit as well, okay? Anytime there is any sort of transit that is taking place, you guys can check and see what house you have that particular sign in. Whatever that transit means is going to be affecting that particular house. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on masculine and feminine energy within. If you guys are just tuning into this video for the first time, welcome, okay? My disclaimers always are, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a medical practitioner. You guys can take what resonates and leave behind what does not. This is just how I personally have compartmentalized the energies. It doesn't mean it is the only answer. It doesn't mean it's the only way to compartmentalize the energies. It's just how I have compartmentalized the masculine and the feminine energy within. Oh, that sounds so awesome, Concerned. I hope you're having a nice time there. I actually flew over the Carolina. I think it was South Carolina that I flew over this past weekend. Anyways, so back to masculine and feminine energy. So this is how I have compartmentalized the energies within. It's important to understand that regardless of what your gender is, everyone has masculine and feminine energy within them. The way that I see this is that you basically want to have your masculine and your feminine energy operating together within to be operating in your full self-alignment. The end goal, ultimately, the way that I see it, once again, in my own opinion, is that everybody wants to be an energetic, sovereign being, okay? You want to be energetically sovereign. For you to be energetically sovereign, you can't really depend energetically on anyone or anything, okay? With that being said, everybody is going to have a core masculine, or everybody's going to have a core energy within, okay? So you're either going to be core masculine energy or you're going to be core feminine energy. So if you're core masculine, then you might have to work on your feminine energy within to balance that energy within. If you're core feminine, then you might have to work on your masculine energy within. And once again, these are traits, okay? So these days, everybody looks at masculine and feminine energy as something that is more so performative. It's more so in the physical realm. They're kind of, giving more so a 3D, a physical interpretation to the energies, but it is the energy within. Everybody has these energies within. So for example, the way that I have compartmentalized these energies personally is, to me, the way that I see it, and again, just my own opinion, you guys can take what resonates, leave behind what does not, okay, with all this information always. The way that I see masculine energy within, it's in your solar plexus chakra, okay? So masculine energy is going to be in the solar plexus, and the way that I see feminine energy within, it's going to be in your sacral chakra. So I have a video or two videos, multiple videos actually, on here on this channel already, where you guys can go under my Exploring the Chakras playlist if you guys would like to learn more about the chakras overall. So this is, once again, how I have compartmentalized the energies just energetically from when I tap into the energies. This doesn't mean this is the only way. It's just how it feels to me when I tap into it. So with that being said, With that being said, masculine and feminine energy, these are traits that people embody. So for example, if we're going to look at feminine energy, well, the feminine energy within is going to be, let's say, your intuition. It's going to be your feeling. It's going to be the creative energy within. The feminine energy can also be associated with the heart space as well, if we think about it. And then even masculine energy, you can kind of connect it to the root chakra as well, okay? But it's basically all of these traits. These are traits. So for example, anytime you get an idea or you want to do something, that's your feminine energy that is in action. Now, the thing is, when someone is too much, let's say, in the feminine energy, sometimes going too much into the dreaming and the daydreaming, they might struggle, let's say, with direction. Direction is going to be a masculine energy trait. So masculine energy traits are going to be things like direction, perseverance, going after things, having strong boundaries, having a healthy ego. Your ego is also going to be in your solar plexus chakra. Now, a lot of people demonize the ego. The ego is always going to be present while we are in this physical 3D realm, because the ego helps us identify things. The ego is going to tell you this is a table, this is a chair, these types of things, okay? What you don't want to do is create and build your identity on external things. So that's kind of what's happening with the ego. For example, a lot of people attach a lot of their identity on these external things that are outside of them. And then when those things are no longer present, they might feel, let's say, energetic instability taking place within themselves. So you never want to attach your identity to something that is outside of you, whether that is a job, whether that is a place that you're living, let's say it's the city, whether that's your title, whether this is your status, whether this is your partner, for example. All these things, people attach, let's say, their ego and their identity to these things. And then what tends to take place and what tends to happen is when those things are no longer present, you now feel unstable. So you want to learn to cultivate the inner stability within. You don't want to place it on another person, on another individual, or on anything, really, anything that is outside of yourself. Hey, It Girl Success, how are you doing? I'm just going over the masculine and feminine energy within. If you guys have any astrology questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I will get to you guys in just a second. So that's basically what's going on with the masculine and feminine energy within. These are traits. They are energetic traits. The feminine energy is also going to be, let's say, nurturing energetically. So for example, let's say you start a project. Masculine energy is starting the project. The idea was a feminine energy. So the idea was a feminine, you thought of it, now you want to put it into action. The action-oriented types of things are going to be the masculine energy within, okay? So you're now starting this project, but for example, to see the project come to, its fruition, you want to nurture it, kind of like a child as well. So that's how the feminine energy is working with the masculine energy within. So I believe, personally, in my own opinion, that everybody can achieve that full self-alignment. You just want to work on these traits within. So once again, let's say you're more in the feminine, well, then you might have the tendency to, let's say, lack direction, or you don't know where to start, or maybe you don't start for whatever reason. Something is holding you back energetically, or you have so many ideas that you don't know where to start. That is the feminine energy. It is that abundant energy. Okay, that's basically what feminine energy is. It is the abundance within. It is believing in abundance as well. And I know last time in the previous live, a lot of you guys were asking about money, for example. Well, money is actually connected to feminine energy, okay? So it's important to know this because your ability to receive, this is the feminine energy trait, once again, the ability to receive. So these are traits within people. It has nothing to do with, for example, you acting in a certain type of way or dressing in a certain type of way. Like, that's more so performative, and that's more so the material lens, or like more so a literal interpretation of the energies. You want to see how can you balance the energy within, because you want to be balanced at the end of the day to have that energetic sovereignty. That's what I was speaking on at the beginning of this video. You want to come into that full self-alignment and have the energetic sovereignty where it's like you are magnetizing things towards you. That's also the feminine energy within. That's everybody, really, at the end of the day. So everybody has the ability to do this. It's just like, up until this point in time, people have been stripped of their power, or they have been taught that they need another person to do certain things, or they've been in their lower chakras. Like, whatever way, shape, or form it has manifested up until this point in time, people have also been taught that they need to be dependent, let's say, on an external thing to achieve certain, let's say, goals and dreams and desires that they have. You don't necessarily need to do that. You just have to come into your full self-alignment and basically balance these energies within. Now, let's say you're more in the masculine energy, because then also we have shadow feminine energies and we have shadow masculine energy. So shadow feminine, for example, and again, this is just how I have compartmentalized the energy. This has nothing to do with, like, maybe you Google it and maybe it's going to be something different, okay? This is just how I see the energies, okay? So for example, shadow feminine, what I've noticed with people when they are in their shadow feminine energy, they can be passive aggressive, for example. They can be kind of sneaky behind the scenes. They might kind of try to evade certain things, like they might not be direct, because for example, you being direct and open, that's more so a masculine energy trait, okay, more so in the divine masculine energy. Now we have shadow masculine energies, for example, where it's like, let's say you're confident, but then we have the shadow aspect of this energy where it's like you're now asserting dominance over people. I hope that makes sense. So there's like a fine line between the divine version of the energy and then the shadow version of the energy. So it's important to see like what traits may you have within, and is it in the divine version? Is it in the shadow version, for example? So everyone wants to ultimately come into this balance within to bring through whatever it is you guys are trying to bring through in this particular lifetime without putting the energy on another person. Because if we even look at, let's say, the solar plexus chakra in terms of your own personal power, once again, this is your masculine energy within. You have to have the confidence within the self to, let's say, magnetize things towards you. It is all connected, okay? It is all connected at the end of the day. And that's basically how the energies work within. You want to get the energies to work together. Now, another thing that's interesting here is like, you guys might meet people throughout your life that you guys are super attracted to. And a lot of the time, in my own opinion, once again, I find that attraction is rooted in there's something in that person's energetic field that you potentially admire or you don't have within your own energetic field. And it's kind of like you're trying to balance the energy within yourself, for example. So anytime you guys find yourselves super attracted to people, there's probably something here that they are either doing or something that you admire. Like really analyze the person to see why you have this pull toward them, because there's probably something within your own energetic field that is, I don't want to use the term lacking. It's not that it's lacking, but it's like you could build on that you potentially see within the other person. I hope that makes sense. So that's another thing that can take place, especially when it comes to attraction. That would have to be a whole different video for a different day in terms of attraction and what's taking place there. Because the way that I see attraction is like people come together, they come together to balance something within themselves through the other person. So it's important to understand, you guys, that everything comes back down to the self. Like everything that we are doing is something to do with the self. You're either working on something within the self, you're either healing something within the self, you're balancing something within the self, you're neutralizing something within the self. It always comes back down to the self. It never has anything to do really with the other person, okay? That's really, really important to understand, because once again, a lot of people externalize, they might project, they might say whatever about the other person, but it's always about the self. So if you guys look at every experience, every situation as an opportunity to learn more about yourselves, well, then it's going to be easier really at the end of the day, because again, you don't give your power away to whatever the external thing is, whether it's a job, once again, whether it's a person, whatever that may be, okay? So in a nutshell, that's basically what's going on with the masculine and feminine energy within. They are energies, and we are trying to achieve ultimately at the end of the day, the full self-alignment. You can achieve this through, let's say, interactions with other people, something that you admire in another person, for example, to see what is that thing that you admire. And this is why a lot of the time I find, once again, that relationships come to an end, for example, because there's something that's been neutralized within the two individuals, and then maybe there's going to be something else within another individual, and so on and so forth, until you come to some sort of full self-alignment. It all comes back down to the self, and ultimately you're trying to unite that divine masculine, divine feminine energy within. Once again, it doesn't have anything to do with another person that is outside of you. So that's basically what's going on. So now I'm going to look at your questions. If you guys have any questions in terms of what we were just discussing, let me know. Otherwise, we'll get into the astrology aspect of things. Hey guys, how are you guys doing? You said you have been trying to tap, or you have been trying to find out how to tap into your masculine energy because you have so much feminine energy. That's exactly what it is. So I've noticed a lot of the time people who operate out of the feminine energy, for example, like let's say you're a feminine energy dominant. With these individuals, they tend to be more psychic, they tend to be more intuitive, they tend to be more feeling based. So people who are more feminine energy dominant, they actually tend to struggle down here on this earth plane, because the earth plane, it's not just masculine, it's shadow masculine, if that makes sense. Like everything is inverted and backwards down here. And I've spoken on this in a lot of my previous lives. So when you're feminine energy dominant, basically like, for example, let's say things where you can make money, it could be a little bit more of a struggle if you think about it, right? Because the feminine energy is not something up until now now, up until now, times are changing and things are going to change. But up until this point in time when I am recording this, okay, this is January 2025, you know, at this point in time, the feminine energy isn't as valued. So feminine energy, let's say roles and traits, you have to work harder, for example, to bring those things to the surface. And it might feel draining for you, for example, because again, you're going against your own natural energy. So that's another thing that can take place as well, is like when you go against your own natural energy, which let's say your core feminine or let's say your core masculine, it could feel draining for you because of the fact that again, you're going against your own natural energy. But the thing is, if you're trying to get something done, or you're trying to achieve a goal, or whatever it is that you're trying to do down here on this earth plane, you might have to adapt or adopt some of these traits, is really what it is, to achieve that particular thing. So people who are feminine energy dominant, they're going to have to work on structure. They're going to have to work on discipline. They're going to have to work on boundaries, is a big one for feminine energy as well. So all of these things, if you're feminine energy dominant and it's resonating with you, you're going to have to work on, let's say, these other masculine energy traits to kind of hone that feminine energy back to you, is basically what that is. Closing your aura, I speak on that a lot. Grounding, figuring out how to ground, for example, and figuring out an outlet, for example, for that feminine energy within. So that's, for example, if you are feminine energy dominant. If you're masculine energy dominant, well, you're gonna have to work on, let's say, getting in tune with your feelings, getting in tune with your vulnerability, getting in tune with expressing your emotions. Because the thing is, you guys, like when you're connected to your feelings and you're connected to your heart space, I have a video on this on here as well. It's going to be under the metaphysical playlist, and it's called Your Intuition, or like your feelings are connected to God / source / the creator. So I'll put it in the description box below after the video. But yes, so basically, like for you to be connected to your higher self, for you to be connected to your intuition, you have to be connected to your feelings, and you have to be connected to your emotions, is basically what that is. And for you to be connected to your emotions, you have to actually be connected to your vulnerability and be okay with being open and vulnerable. So that's, let's say, if you are in the masculine energy. Hey, Beatrice, how are you guys doing? Hey, Esperanza. What's new, you guys? Hi, Luna. I'm just going over the topic. If you guys have any questions about masculine, feminine energy, feel free to comment below. And then after, we'll get into the astrological aspect of things. What is new? Thank you, Esperanza. I'm happy that you guys are here as well. So yes, if you're too much in the masculine, other things that can take place also, for example, is like you could struggle to receive. Now, the thing is, you know, when people talk about feminine energy, they always seem to talk about it in terms of relationships. But for you to receive things, you can also receive things from the universe, for example, or from God or from the creator, right? It doesn't have to be, let's say, in a relationship type of situation. Like, I find that that's where the misconception is, but that's okay. That is where some people are at in terms of their perspectives. They're more linear in the way that they see things. These are energetic things, okay? So it doesn't matter how you are presenting in this world, what gender you are in. If you are struggling to, let's say, get the things that you want, you are struggling, let's say, with the feminine energy of receiving. So then you would have to explore. And this is why everything is connected. Then you would have to explore. You'd have to go deep within, and you'd have to be like, okay, well, what took place in the heart space that you now have this relationship with receiving, for example? Let's say maybe when you were younger, there could have been something taking place where it's like when you asked for something, maybe there was like a transactional type of situation that took place, and you just internalized this belief that every time you receive something, you have to maybe give something in return, or not just that, or just like that there's like strings attached with receiving things. Do you know what I mean? So you'll have to explore. Like, that's just one example, but it can manifest so many different ways, for example. And also, if you guys are trying to heal these things within, the receiving energy is actually connected to the mother, which is your heart chakra. So then you'd have to explore the relationship with the mother, for example. And then the masculine energy can also be connected to your root chakra as well. Okay, so then you'd explore the relationship with the father, for example. So it's all connected, really. You said the balance of masculine and feminine energy has been a source of a lot of fun in your life. Of course, you have seen, you as in me, I have seen your natal chart. You have a lot of feminine energy. And that's another thing, you guys. You'll see this in natal charts. So within astrology, the fire signs are going to be, or if you have fire energy in your natal chart, those are more masculine energy traits. If you have the air signs, so this is where it gets interesting. Fire is masculine, water is feminine, and then the air signs are supposed to be masculine, and the earth signs are supposed to be feminine in terms of the way that they have, you know, given it in astrology, right? Like traditional astrology, that's how they look at it. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, the air signs to me kind of give me more so androgynous vibes, and the earth signs, just because of the way the earth plane is right now, like I get where they're coming from with the earth signs being feminine, because the earth is feminine itself, but everything down here is inverted, okay, in my opinion, and backwards. So the earth, okay, and everything that's operating down here is more so shadow masculine. So sometimes I look at the earth signs and they give me more masculine energy. But yes, traditionally in astrology, Fire is masculine, water is feminine, air should be masculine, and then earth should be feminine. So you will see this in someone's natal chart. And this is why, again, it doesn't matter what your gender is, because at the end of the day, you're either going to have masculine energy dominance in your chart, or you're going to have feminine energy dominance in your chart, or you might have a balance. Like you might actually be balanced, for example, in terms of your energies in your natal chart. So it's this. You said you also have a feminine appearance. In general, people have not seemed to like your energy, but the fun comes in when your Scorpio and Aries moon show your athletic abilities and surprise people. You know, it's no, absolutely not. No, you guys always feel free to share in the chat everything. So that's the thing. And it's like when you're more in tune with the feminine, like the feminine energy is going to be more also healing energy. And it's also going to sometimes be a mirror. So that's the thing, right? These are energies within an individual. And it's like sometimes if you're reflecting back to someone, for example, in the case of Scorpio energy, well, it's like the other person, like you mentioned, might kind of not like you, but it's because they don't like themselves. So that's the thing too, like nobody should ever internalize anything that another person is doing either. I hope that that makes sense, because it's like, even if people are reacting to you, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and whatever's going on with them. Obviously, as long as you're not provoking the person or doing something, do you know what I mean? To actually get that reaction out of them. If you're just being yourself and you're just doing you and they're being bothered, well, in that particular case, that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. You said you have a lot of feminine energy. You push yourself to act on ideas. Exactly. And when you do act, you have time to recalibrate. Perfect. You said, yes, indeed, their air first two letters in their name. And then you said seems androgynous, leaning masculine. Yeah, if you think about it, especially like even Aquarius energy, one of you guys in here mentioned Gemini energy. But in general, if you think about it, in general, like, yes, they might feel more androgynous because even Libra is the balance. So sometimes if you have Libra in your chart, like you're going to be more balanced or trying to achieve balance, for example, in terms of your masculine, feminine energy within. But traditionally in astrology, they're considered masculine energy traits. I guess because a lot of them have to do with the mind. And that is another masculine energy trait. So that's another thing. Like masculine energy is going to be the mind. The feminine energy is going to be the heart. And you want to work with these energies together. Like some people are more in their mind and they're overthinking things and they're more in their heads versus being in their intuition. But the thing is, for you to live life through your intuition, you basically have to go against everything that is taught down here on this earth plane. If you think about it, right? Because the earth plane is all about, logic and making a plan and having everything be planned out. And, what's the 5-year plan? Like these types of things. So that's like the way the earth plane is or has been up until this point in time, right? But going forward, it's going to be more so like relying on your intuition as we go into the higher vibrations. That's just the way that I see it. So I'm just going back up here to see what are you guys saying in here. You said 5 out of 6 of your core 6 in your birth chart are water signs. So you're definitely core feminine energy in your case. Let's see what else were you guys saying at the beginning up here. Okay, I'll get to the astrology question in just a second. You said, is it true that earth/water are feminine? Exactly. That's exactly what it is. You said, is it true that earth/water are feminine and fire/air are masculine? That's what they teach in astrology. So when I feel into it, when I personally feel into it, water definitely feels feminine and fire definitely feels masculine to me energetically. But air to me feels more so like androgynous energetically when I tap into it. And then earth, just because of the way that the earth plane is at this point in time, this might change. They say the earth energies are feminine because earth is feminine overall. If you think about it, earth gives life and so on and so forth. That's where that whole feminine energy concept comes from. But because of the way the earth plane is, it's shadow masculine down here. So to me, sometimes when I tap into it, it feels more so masculine, but that's just the way that it feels to me. You said AI equals air. You have heard the Libran balance means attempting to balance as in meaning off balance. Yes, Libra. Okay, so Libra was interesting with them. Everyone thinks that Libra is balanced. No, Libra is not balanced. Libra, especially if you have it in the sun, moon, rising, Libra energy incarnates into chaotic environments, actually, or even if you have it in your IC, okay, your 4th house in Libra, you tend to incarnate into chaotic environments. So you're actually always trying to achieve balance. You're not necessarily balanced, okay? When you have Libra energy, taking place in your natal chart. So you're always trying to achieve some sort of balance and harmony throughout your life. Sometimes when you have it in the sun, moon, rising, you might be trying to neutralize, especially if it's in the sun or the moon, because that can be the father and the mother traditionally in astrology. Or even if you have it in your IC, you could have been the person who incarnated into the home, trying to neutralize everything, trying to balance everybody, trying to do the peacekeeping. And you might see this play out throughout your life. For example, let's say it's in your friend groups. Let's say you end up in, for example, you know, third party situations, or like, let's say it's like trio types of friendships, like love triangles. Let's say you have a Venus in Libra. If you have a Venus in Libra, if this is in the shadow, this energy might have the tendency to create love triangles. For example, Venus in Libra, like the shadow of Venus in Libra, or you might have the tendency to get sucked into love triangles, for example. So that's the thing with the Libra energy. It's not balanced. And that's the thing with all of the signs. All of the signs mean one thing, but they're actually trying to achieve that thing. For example, Gemini is meant to be a good communicator, but at the same time, they might not be, or they might struggle. So they're actually trying to achieve communication in this lifetime. So it depends where you're at in terms of your evolutionary journey. You said your Libra father was never able to achieve balance. It was always chaos. Yes, Libras can be very chaotic, and Libras can either attract or be involved in a lot of drama, especially because of the fact that sometimes Libra energy can inadvertently transport gossip. Like sometimes it's not on purpose. It depends obviously what's going on in the rest of the energies, like with the rest of the natal chart. But sometimes like they can kind of slip up, or like they can go from one person and then say something to the other person. Like I don't think it's with malicious intent with the Libra energy. I just find sometimes it kind of slips out. Or sometimes what people don't talk about with Libra is like they can be very manipulative as well when they are in the shadow, because Libra is very smart. Libra is very, very smart. So they'll know what to say, especially because they're good with people. They'll know what to say when they want to get something out of a person, or if they're trying to get a reaction, or if they're trying to get information. So yes, that could be a Libra. Amongst many other things, that is, of course. You said you're water, water, earth, but with an Aries stellium. So there it is. So that's a nice balance, let's say, of masculine, feminine energy within. What I have noticed, okay, and this is, again, my own opinion, but what I have noticed is a lot of the time when people have water in their chart, the water tends to overpower because of the fact that the water tends to be suppressed, okay? So once again, because down here on this earth plane, the feminine energy isn't something that's taught, it's not something that's expressed, people tend to suppress it within, for example, because it doesn't necessarily have an outlet. So there tends to be an excess. That's the way that I see it, okay, with the water energy. So sometimes, for example, if you have something unresolved with water placements in your natal chart, it tends to overpower because there's a lot going on with the emotions and the feelings and these types of things that you might have to process in order to activate what else could be taking place in your natal chart. So again, it depends. You said you love Libras, you have zero shade to throw unless they are some scratchy sunnies. Libra bounces off of Aries, okay? And sometimes the energies, all energies, when they are in their shadows, they might go into the shadow of the oppositional energy. There's that too, because Libras can be passive aggressive sometimes, and Libras can also have a lot of suppressed anger, especially if they have it, let's say, in the big three. Even if they have it in the moon sign, they can have a lot of suppressed anger because, again, from a young age, especially when it's in the moon sign, because the moon sign deals with the home, they could have gotten used to being, again, the peacekeepers, or suppressing like what they're thinking and what they're feeling, or wanting to make everyone around them happy. And then boom, all of a sudden they explode, and it's this like rage, right? So when you have Libra in your chart, you have to learn how to speak up for yourself and actually express what you are feeling. And if you can't actually express it, maybe writing it down so you don't have a lot of suppressed feelings and suppressed emotions. Because I find that with Libra and Cancer, these energies, when they are kind of suppressing what they're feeling, they tend to be snide. They tend to go into passive aggressive energies when they are in the shadow, okay? This is only when they are in the shadow. After you've worked on that within yourself and you've transmuted this energy within, well, at that point in time, you know, you have neutralized that, if that makes sense. So it's like you might actually verbalize how you feel to the people around you, or maybe you'll write it down so it's out of your system. Because that's the thing. It's like they suppress and then they explode over something. It could be the smallest thing. I'm just going back up to see what you guys were saying in here. Okay, I'm going to get to the astrology questions. So feel free, you guys, to comment any questions you have about astrology, natal charts, metaphysics, everything, the whole 9 yards. We'll talk about it. So one of you guys said in here, I'm just trying to find it. So one of you guys said you have Cancer, Mars, and then you have it in the 7th house. Okay, so that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the video as well. Is it's a full moon today. So anytime you guys want to see what's going on in terms of how that full moon in this case is going to affect you, you guys want to see, where do you have Cancer in your natal chart? Okay, where do you have Cancer in your natal chart? What house is it in? and that house is going to be affected, okay, by this full moon. So let's say you have it in the first house, or you have Cancer in your first house, so you have a Cancer rising, for example. Well, something is going to come to a close, because that's what a full moon means, is going to come to a close or an end, or something might be shown to you, for example, about your identity, about the self, about your personality. Let's say it's in the first house. Let's say it's in the second house. It could be something to do with your money, your finances. So you guys always want to check and see, where do you have it in your chart? What house is it in? The sign, okay, that is basically taking place currently. So today it's the full moon in Cancer. You want to see, where do you have Cancer in your natal chart? And then that is basically what the full moon is going to affect. So you want to see, what does the transit mean? This transit, in terms of the full moon, basically signifies ending something. That's what a full moon is. It's the completion. It's the ending of some sort of cycle, okay? That's basically what it is. So that could be Cancer in the second house. Cancer in the third could be something with your communication. It could be something with your friends, for example. Maybe it's something to do with like, let's say a contract or something of the sort. Maybe it comes up, or something to be looked at or assessed, or something you were waiting on ends, like something of the sort could be taking place, okay, with that third house energy. It could be siblings. It could be cousins as well. With the third house, it could be your friends too. The third house can also be friends as well. The fourth house can be your home. So something to do with the home gets, shown to you. Some sort of cycle is ending when it comes to the home. The fifth house is going to be either your children or the inner child. It could also be love, dating, and relationships. And it could also be something to do with your creativity as well. Maybe something that, was holding you back in terms of being seen and, putting yourself out there is now shown to you, whatever this trait could have been, and you've now overcome this. Something like this, okay? I'm sure you guys catch my drift. The sixth house is anything to do with your daily acquaintances. It's also anything to do with your routines as well. It's also health, healing, and being of service. So with the full moon, okay, something's closing out here in terms of maybe something that was taking you out of your daily routine. For example, like let's say you struggle to create a daily routine when you have Cancer in the sixth house, whereas like maybe you were more lethargic, or maybe you were more all over the place, right? Maybe at this point in time, something will be brought to your awareness or brought to your attention, and you close out that cycle. I'm sure you guys catch my drift. The seventh house is anything to do with your friends, lovers, partners, okay? Something closes out during this period of time. The eighth house is anything to do with sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. Ninth house is the higher mind, higher learning. 10th house is your career, okay, and your public image. Then we also have the 11th house, which is also friends, but it's more so friends for a larger mission, I find, with the 11th house, okay? People who connect for some sort of larger mission. So it could be like a community, it could be some sort of group that you are involved in if you have the 11th house energy, okay, for Cancer. And then 12th house is your subconscious and is your unconscious. So you guys can do this literally for any sort of transit that is taking place, to understand that for yourselves. Anytime anybody does one of those videos and they say, if you have a Libra sun or if you have a Libra rising, this is what's going to happen during the full moon. They're looking to see, okay, approximately, and that's why sometimes it might not resonate with all Libra risings, because sometimes, you might have Cancer in a certain house, or you might have Cancer in the house, let's say if you had the Scorpio rising. I hope that makes sense. So that's why those videos are general. So if you guys want to do it for yourselves, just look to see what house you have it in, and that's basically what the transit is going to be affecting. You said you have a Cancer rising and you wondered if it would be beneficial to relocate on your moon IC line. The thing is, here's the thing with astrocartography. Yes, you can look to see what's going on with the lines, but what I would look at for even more information, okay, for yourselves, you guys can look and see the synastry between the place that you're trying to move to and your own natal chart. That's what I would do personally. So check and see the city that you're trying to move to or interested in moving in, okay? And check and see what is the inception, okay? So when was that city made? When was that city built? What is their birthday, okay, of that particular city? Then put that information in and look at the synastry between you and that particular city. That's gonna give you even more information, and it's gonna be even more detailed versus astrocartography, which is general, okay? It'll still tell you information like, yes, you're gonna have the moon line, you're gonna have the Saturn line, like all those things are true, but if you want more detail and more information, what I would do is I would look at the synastry, okay, between you and a certain place. You said you have natal Libra rising. Hey, and progress on Libra. You always have had Aries men in your life at all times, aside from your brother. He's a double Aries, sun, moon. And they said, happy full moon. Yes, happy full moon. Yes. So I've heard from someone that the ideal relationship would be with your 7th house sign. Now, I can see how that could work, but I can also see how that might not necessarily work as well. So it depends, I think, on the rest of the energies in your chart to see how is it being aspected and what else is taking place in your chart. Because the thing is, with synastry, what I've noticed a lot of the time for, let's say, intimate relationships or family types of feels, like let's say you have a family feel with someone, a lot of the time you'll see 4th house energies in there. You will see 8th house and you'll see 12th house as well in there, okay? The 7th house, like, The seventh house energy can also sometimes tell you your shadow traits. For example, like let's say, for example, as a Libra rising and with Aries in the seventh house, like a lot of Aries people could, let's say, be selfish, for example. And it's like those people could be showing you to pick yourself as an example. So I have a series on here on the descendant, okay, which is your seventh house. And a lot of the time, the people who are coming through who are that seventh house energy, okay, they're going to be showing you probably aspects of yourself that you have either suppressed or not acknowledged, or you didn't know that were there. Okay, so you can check that out for your seventh house energy, which is also your descendant. Let's see, what else are you guys saying in here? Okay, you said, do I know how to have a successful career when you have Saturn in the fourth house? Is it after talking to your parents about your childhood? That's an interesting question. How to have a successful career. That's something that I would look at, or have to look at your whole natal chart to get more information. Like Saturn in the fourth house, basically you age backwards, okay? When you have Saturn in the fourth house, it gives you the undertone of having a Capricorn moon is really, really what that is. So when you have the undertone of having a Capricorn moon, basically what takes place is like everything is kind of reversed for you. So it's like when you're young, you may have been parentified, you may have taken on a lot of responsibility at a young age, you may have been, you know, the one that had to be responsible for everybody in the household. So it's like when you're young, you kind of take on a lot of responsibility. So when it's time to be an adult, the way that this energy kind of feels is like you might feel energetically burnt out, or you might feel tired, okay? Because you have been, you know, taking all of these energies on, like energies basically that maybe you didn't have to when you were a kid, a lot of this responsibility. So the thing is with this energy, like the Saturn and the fourth, what they are trying to rectify is their relationship with responsibility, okay? Is the way that I see it. So what is your relationship with responsibility? Because as you grow up and as you are maybe trying to achieve something in your life, okay, let's say it's within your career, let's say you're trying to take on higher positions and higher roles, you're going to have to take on more responsibility. There could be this resistance within you to take on more responsibility because of this energetically burnt out energy, okay? That's just kind of how it feels to me. Check out my video on Saturn and the fourth house, okay? But for the rest of what's going on in your natal chart, I'd have to see what's going on for your career, okay? In terms of, I'd want to see your fourth house, what's happening with your fourth house, what's going on with the 10th house. Like there's a lot that I would want to look at. I'd also want to look to see what are the aspects in your natal chart as well, to see what could be, let's say, the successful career, or what could be holding you back. Because another thing also that I say to people is, you know, for you to get to your 10th house, you're trying to climb to that 10th house, right? You're trying to get there. And a lot of the time, the 10th house, quote unquote, matures around the age of 35, okay? Because that's when Saturn matures. Now, you don't have to be waiting until you're 35 to start your career. That's not what you want to do at all, okay? Don't put like a timing energy on it. It's just more so Saturn rewards you the more hard work and effort you put in towards something, okay? So you'll start to see usually the rewards around this time if you were putting in the hard work and effort towards something. If you were doing shady things, well, Saturn gets you in that way as well. It's just the way that it is down here on this earth plane, case very Saturnian for now, okay? It's just the way that it is. So having basically like, you want to look and see what's going on with your 10th house, and then to get to the 10th house, you want to look at your fourth house. I have a video on that as well, okay? It's called The Importance of the Fourth House. You want to look and see what signs you have in your fourth house that could be pulling you out of your 10th house, for example, okay? So check out that video. I speak on that a little bit more, because whatever's going on in your fourth house, this is going to tell you more information about the home and about the upbringing and maybe belief systems you could have internalized from the home and the upbringing that could be pulling you out of the 10th house, because that fourth house is opposing the 10th house, okay? I hope that makes sense. So you can't really get to your 10th house. You can't skip the line and get to the 10th house. You have to kind of go through the preceding houses, and also to get to the 10th house, you want to look at your 9th house as well, okay? So the 9th house are the people that you guys are going to be learning from. I have a video on that as well on here. It's called How to Activate Your Midheaven, okay? And this is all based on the Placidus tropical system, where the 10th house is the midheaven, right? So to get to your 10th house, you want to also look at the 9th house, because those are the people that are teaching you the information that you need to know to activate that 10th house. So you want to look at all of the houses overall, because all of the houses are helping you get to that 10th house. The 10th house is the top of the natal chart, okay? You're trying to climb to the 10th house. Let's see, you said, when looking at your chart, what is the best to use, the traditional or modern planets? Because your signs and houses seem to change depending. I look at both. I look at everything. The way that I see it is like the information is available for a reason. So you want to look at everything and see how does that apply. Now it depends, what are you doing? Because if you're trying to get to the root, for example, of the energy, and then in that particular case, you're going to look at the traditional rulerships. But I'd have to do a video on that to explain that a little bit more in depth, so you guys could learn how to do that for yourselves. You said how to deal with being in your 1 personal year while being in the 9 collective year. here's the thing, don't get consumed in what's going on or with what's going on in the collective. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, there's always going to be collective things, and especially like the times that we're living in, there's always going to be energies in this world that are going to try to create chaos, okay? And if you're someone who's a little bit more energetically sensitive, you might get sucked into the chaos, and then it's going to deter you off your path, okay? And that might not even be necessarily what's happening energetically. It could be something that you've seen, whether it's on social media, whether it's online, wherever you could have seen the information. That energy could be pulling you out of where it is that you're trying to go, okay? And that's all done by design, because everything down here is all about energy siphoning and trying to pull people off their path. That's the way that I see it, in my own opinion, okay? So with that being said, focus more so on it being your 1 year. Don't focus on the collective and it being a 9 year, because that's going to happen anyways, right? And it's like everyone is at a different point in their journey. So just because things are ending overall within the collective doesn't mean things are ending for you, because it depends how much have you worked on yourself and worked on the energies within. So don't get sucked into what's happening within the collective. That's the way that I see it. Like, it's good to have the awareness and to know, like, yes, it's a 9 year and there's going to be a lot of cycles that are closing out overall. But it's like, still, it's your 1 year, right? So you're meant to start things. So you don't want to get sucked into the collective energies, is the way that I see it. That's also why sometimes personally, I don't look at transits either. I don't do transit readings, but in general, I don't really look at transits unless it's brought to my awareness. Let's say somebody said it or I saw something. I try to stay away from looking at transits, because it's like then that energy is kind of restricting. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of tying into the whole aspect of like predictions and like predictive readings and these types of things. And like, in a way, it pulls you out of your free will. I hope that makes sense. You said you're going to have to watch that. Leo 10th, 4th house, Aquarius, Cancer is in the 9th. Yes, it's 2 videos. Okay, good. So I'm going to share those videos on the community tab. I will put them in the description box below. Okay, so I'm making a mental note for when I rewatch this to put all the videos in the description box below, but I'll also share it in the community tab as well, so you guys can check those videos out. Yes, I have a lot of different types of videos where you guys can learn a lot of things about your natal charts, and that one is going to be in the miscellaneous playlist. So both of those actually are going to be in the miscellaneous playlist. The 4-house one, so the importance of the 4-house, and then also the how to activate your midheaven, that's also going to be in the miscellaneous playlist. You're welcome. Let's see, you said kind of too ego dominant, Aries. Maybe that's near your Scorpio sun's position at the moment. You have moon in Taurus in the 7th house. Okay, I'm just going to go back up and see what were you guys saying up here. How are you guys doing? You said, how do you use and interpret your dominant planets in your chart? According to your chart, your Mars dominant. So when you have a dominant energy, like that's your core. You can kind of look at it as like a part of your identity, right? So like when you're Mars dominant, you are probably going to be a go-getter. You're going to be action oriented. So for example, because we were talking about masculine, feminine energies, right? When you're Aries or Mars dominant, for example, you're more so in the masculine energy. You're more so a go-getter. You are a starter, okay? But the thing is, okay, what I will say with Mars energy is they're very good at starting, but they become very obsessed with the novelty of things. So they're not that good at continuing, okay? In the more evolved version of Mars and Aries energy, if we look at Mars and Aries, it's like this energy is good at delegating. So they're going to be the ones who think of the idea and then they delegate it to somebody. Like, let's say they work with a team. This is why these energies are good in terms of management, or even let's say working for yourselves, because at that point in time, you're going to be able to delegate your idea. But the thing is, when you're younger and you're, let's say, Mars dominant, you can want to start a lot of things. You could start a lot of projects. And the way that I see it is like fire, right? So it's like the fire is like super excited. It's like passionate, and then it kind of like burns. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like, it gets over it, for example, and then it starts the next thing. So it's like, sometimes this energy can be super into like the novelty of things, and they can be very good at starting, not so good at continuing. So again, knowing this about yourself, right? When you know these things about yourself, you know, it's like, okay, well, how can I now start something and actually continue with it? Because I guarantee you, for these types of energies, later on as the time passes, because the time will pass anyways, you will look back and you will be thinking to yourself and you'll be like, okay, well, what would have happened if I continued that project that I started? Do you know what I mean? Because again, we have to look at, yes, you have your energies in your chart, but then we also have the energies of this earth plane. So up until this point in time, the earth plane is the earth energies. Do you know what I mean? So it's Saturn, which is Capricorn. It's going to be Taurus, and it's going to be Virgo. So when I see a progression energy going out of Aries into Taurus, for example, this is going to be very good, because it's like you come out of the Aries, the excitement energy, and you've probably started something, okay, in the Aries era toward the end. And now you're going into Taurus and you're now grounding it. You are now working toward that particular thing. So That's the way that I see it. So, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is when you have a certain energy in your chart. I don't look at anything as good or bad. It just is, okay? Because it's there. You just want to see how can you incorporate your energy in terms of the earth plane is really, really what that is, which is the earth energies. You said, how should you interpret? You said, so agree. It's like a sprinter versus a marathoner. I like that. Yes, sprinter versus a marathoner. You said, how should you interpret your Jupiter Aries in the 8th house? So Jupiter is basically expanding. It's going to be blessing you in the area that it's in. So when you have Jupiter in Aries, basically you're being blessed in the area of starting something. For example, speaking of starting things, okay, you could be blessed in the area of even athletics. For example, when you have Jupiter in Aries, you can make money, let's say, through these things. So like Jupiter in Aries could be, let's say, a good entrepreneur or a good manager, for example. It could also be, let's say, like what I'm seeing too, is like Jupiter could be a teacher as well. So you can teach like in an Aries type of way, for example. So it's like very like leadership types of vibes. You know, it's like someone who wants to be the best. It's not really a team player type of energy, Aries, I find. Like they'll work with a team as long as they're managing the team, okay? They always want to be the best. They always want to be number one. That's how Aries works, okay? So Jupiter in Aries is this. Now, Jupiter can also expand sometimes in a shadow sense, okay? That's something that a lot of people I find don't really like think about or pay attention to, okay? So you have Jupiter in Aries, you might have to work on anger, okay? Conflict, anger management. So a lot of the time, if you have a lot of anger within you, okay, you want to, let's say, see how can you find an outlet for this energy. So for example, let's say it's going to the gym. Let's say it is running. We were just talking about running, like something of the sort, okay? When you have Aries in there now, also you have it in the 8th house. So Jupiter in the 8th house, you're now being expanded in the area of 8th house types of things. So sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. Sometimes when I see Jupiter in the 8th house, the way that I see this energy is like this is someone who is like a magician or like an alchemist, for example. Okay, when you have Jupiter in the 8th house, you have like a lot of occult knowledge, maybe that you have accumulated either in this lifetime or previous lifetime. A lot of the time I find like Scorpio, 8th house, or Pluto dominant types of people incarnate already into this earth plane having this knowledge. So maybe you were like a magician in a previous lifetime or something of that sort. Hey, Gabriella. Oh, it's cold in Michigan. Hey. So that's that 8th house energy. When you have Jupiter in here, you could also make money through these things. So for example, okay, you can make money through the occult. You can make money through astrology. You can make money through psychology, for example, therapy, like all these things, okay? Any 8th house type of thing, you can make money through that thing, okay? Let's say you're a financial advisor, sometimes a personal trainer. Let's say you're helping people change and transform. You can basically make money through that. You said the Aries info that is Mars in Aries is a race car driver on having Aries male always present in your life. You said you've even looked at the progress charts of Pisces and Aquarius men that have been in your life. They were freaking Aries suns when you met. You said that. Yeah, see, because they fall into your 7th house. So it's like anytime you guys have someone's, let's say, sun sign going into your 7th house, like it can be a very friendly dynamic, for example, okay? But at the same time, sometimes these people can bring up a lot of shadows to the surface for you as well. So it depends what's going on, especially with the other energies in your chart, okay? But it's basically this, okay? It's like a familiar type of energy. It's like a friendly type of energy when someone's, let's say, sun or moon or even personal planets. Oh, that's so awesome. You binged all of my Scorpio videos. Yay, I'm so glad that they resonated. Yes, you guys, if you guys are new here, check out my playlist tab because I've got playlists happening on this channel. So I have a bunch of playlists in terms of, let's say, like the sun and the moon and the rising. So everything's in a category, okay? But then also I have playlists, let's say, for Scorpio energy, 8th house energy. I have a specific playlist for Scorpio 8th house energy. And then I have a specific playlist for Pisces and 12th house energy, okay? You guys are special. So because you guys are special, check out those videos. And if you guys check out those videos, make sure you like the videos, okay? So that's basically what's going on with that. And then I have a bunch of other playlists. I have like a miscellaneous astrology playlist. I have the synastry video playlist as well now taking place in there too. A bunch of different playlists. So check it out. Lilith I've got going on. I've got Juno. I think it's Asteroids, the playlist. And then I have Juno in the Asteroids playlist. Yeah, I'm glad that you binged the 12 house videos. You guys are welcome. You said about that person that I mentioned on my last live was coming to mind or near the veil. You want to guess which person did I mention? You said, what about Jupiter in Cancer in the 10th house? Okay, so Jupiter in Cancer in the 10th house. Okay, Jupiter actually likes to be in Cancer. It's exalted here, okay? So in terms of money and abundance, you might be able to make money through real estate. When you have Jupiter in Cancer, you might be able to work from home, make money from home when you have Jupiter in Cancer. So like you're being blessed in this area. When you have Jupiter in Cancer, maybe it's interior design. The thing is, like, Jupiter likes to be in Cancer because it's exalted here, first of all, but also it's like, basically, if you look at Jupiter as the teacher energy, okay, within your natal chart, it's like when someone has Jupiter in Cancer, there's like a very nurturing vibe, okay, to this particular person, okay? In terms of like when you're teaching something, it's kind of like that gentle parent who is going to sit down with you and sit with you all day while you're trying to figure out what 2 + 2 means, okay? So that's Jupiter in Cancer. So people might feel drawn to you, or they might come to you, let's say when they're trying to learn something. Like, let's say you are working at a job, you might be the one who trains people, or let's say you don't even train people. Let's say there's a trainer and that person is like angry at life, okay, because they have a lot on their plate. Maybe the employees or like the other colleagues come to you for help because you have that nurturing vibe to you, okay? So that's Jupiter in Cancer. Now let me just go back up. I think you said you have Jupiter in the 10th house as well. So Jupiter is going to bless you in the area of career and money and abundance and status, okay? But keep in mind, you guys, 10th house placements, Capricorn placements, usually the second half of life. Doesn't mean you have to wait all day. It's just like you're working toward this thing. Let's see, what are you guys saying in here? You said, I didn't identify them. I simply said a famous person was trying to come through. Oh, that's what you guys are trying to figure out. Who was it? Yes, I did have someone that was coming through and I wanted to do a video on my other channel. So I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with that channel because it's called Barbara Talks Some More and it's someone who's crossed over, okay? So this is like an older person from like back in the day. So I was thinking about it and I was like, let me know. Are you guys interested in those videos on that particular channel where I go over people's natal charts? And the way that I go over natal charts, let me know, okay? So the channel is called Barbara Talks Some More. Let's see if you can guess it. Let's see, it's a telepathic connection. I feel like you might not, but let's see. Maybe you'll be able to guess this person. So yes, I've had the person, the individual coming through is just like, I need to know a little bit more information about them overall because I literally don't know too much about this person at all. And then I would do the reading. But yeah, so let me know if you guys are interested because I was trying to figure out, and I'm like, do you guys, want it to be on that channel? Should I put a Patreon up? Would you guys be interested in those videos overall? Should I do it members only? Like, I'm trying to gauge the interest for those types of videos. You said, if you're new here, Barbara's playlists are my pride and joy. Yes. You guys are so funny. You said they're a representation of my, yes, Virgo 12th house, okay? The representation of my Virgo 12th house. No, it's not them. Yes, it is someone who's a feminine. You said, so I said it was a person from a long time ago. There's no way we're going to be able to guess. Okay, not that long ago. Like, they were within this timeline, but they're not as recent, if that, okay, I'm not even gonna get you guys to try to guess. Just wait for the video. Let's see, what else are you guys saying out here? But yes, let me know if you guys are interested. First, let me know that before I make the video itself, okay? And if you guys are watching the live replay, let me know. And if you guys are new here and you're interested, go subscribe to that channel. It's called Barbara Talks More, is basically what's going on, okay? It's my second channel. You said you realize all your placements are in Scorpio, Capricorn, 8th and 10th houses. You know this affects the person. Does it delay and make things harder? Can I do a video about this? You said all of your placements. It doesn't. Okay, here's the thing. This is the thing. Everyone seems to fear Saturn, but there's no need to fear Saturn because Saturn is what operates this whole earth plane, okay? In my own opinion, everything down here is operated by Saturn. To me, the way that I see Saturn is kind of like the clock. And a lot of the time, if you're trying to, it's called Barbara Talks Some More. So I'm not sure if it's gonna pop up, but yes, it's called Barbara Talks Some More. Maybe I'll share it again, either in the community tab. I think I shared it way back in the day. So if you guys scroll down through the community tab, you'll be able to find it. For people who are rewatching the live, maybe I'll put it down here in the description box below. But I'm sure if you type in Barbara Talks Some More, okay, like all separate words, it will pop up. I have 3 videos up there now. I have a video on Matthew Perry because his energy was coming through strongly. So shout out to Matthew Perry, okay, because he was actually the reason I created that channel last year. Matthew Perry, and then I have one on Selena, which is so interesting because you found it. Okay, good. The video on Selena, which is so interesting because in that video, okay, and I posted this on my community tab a few months after, because in that video, when I start to pick up on someone's energy, it's because basically they're being pulled energetically into the Earth's atmosphere, basically, okay? So when I started picking up on the energy, I kind of felt like there was something going on with like the other individual, the other like Y person who took her out. I'm gonna kind of try to speak between the lines here, okay? So I was picking up on that person, and I was picking up on that person's parole coming up, and like there being like backlash and so on and so forth. So there's been information coming out about that person since then, which was so interesting because that was confirmed. And then what else? There was something else that was taking place. Oh yeah. Also, when I pick up on these energies, right, for people who have crossed out and they're kind of being pulled energetically into the earth realm, because the thing is, if you're a little bit more intuitive, okay, you're going to start to pick up on these energies, okay, if you're a little bit more in tune. So basically what happens is like anytime there's, let's say, talks about that person, or let's say, you know, maybe there's going to be a movie release, maybe there's going to be a TV release or something of that sort taking place, okay, they're being pulled into the earth's atmosphere, like their energy is being pulled, okay? So with that being said, if you're a little bit more intuitive, you'll start picking up on that person's energy, okay? So yes, check out that video. And then I had another person that was also, no, it's not her, but maybe I can do one on Amy as well. Let's see, what are you guys saying in here? Okay, back to what I was saying about Saturn and Capricorn placement. So when you have a lot of Capricorn energy in your natal chart, ideally, you know, these people, it's the second half of their life when they start to prosper, because Saturn matures around the age of 35. So up until that point in time, these people are hustling and they are working hard to achieve their goals. Now here's the thing, okay? Don't put a timing thing in terms of being limited or feeling limited in terms of what you are trying to do. Okay, I'm seeing all of the question or all of the recommendations here. Okay, sure, yes. Okay. A mental note. They're not part of the 27 club, no. I really feel like you guys, aren't gonna pick up on this person, because it's not, I don't think it's someone who is maybe obvious. Like it's not someone who's like in the recent timeline. Like they're a little bit from like back in the day. Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you guys for the likes and shares and the subscribes. Okay, so when you have Capricorn energy, it's usually the second half of your life when you start to see things come into fruition. Now, that doesn't mean sit and wait until you turn 35. It doesn't mean that at all. The way Saturn works is you start to put in hard work and Saturn starts to knock you down, because Saturn energetically is asking you how bad do you want something. That's basically how the Saturnian energy works, okay? It wants to know how bad do you want something? Are you willing to put in the work, and are you willing to put in the effort? When I pick up on these energies in someone's chart, it's usually a grit type of energy, okay? Because some people can be dreaming to do things, but not everybody can achieve them. They could if they sat down and worked hard, but it's like when you have these energies in your chart, let's say Capricorn, you have this like not backing down type of energy is basically what that is, okay? That's Capricorn, because you've been knocked down so much, but it's like, it's a grit type of energy. So you can usually see within a person, let's say you meet them, or if you look at their natal chart, you can see like maybe how far that person will go, whether they're going to be up in the clouds all day, whether they're going to be scattered energetically, and these types of things. And the thing is, even if you are up in the clouds and if you are energetically scattered, you'll just have to work on honing that energy in. Is basically what it is, okay? To achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve down here. So with that being said, when you have Capricorn energy in your chart, or let's say 10th house, it's like you want to start working hard, okay? And you probably do from a young age already. Like these people, okay? Esperanza, you're so funny. I love you guys. You guys are so funny, okay? But that's just the way that it is down here, okay? It's very Saturnian. So if you want to achieve something, you want to sit down, you want to work, okay? You want to put in the discipline, you want to put in the time, you want to put in the hard work and the effort. It's not going to come to you on its own. It's just how it is down here. Hey, everyone. Oh, thank you, John. I'm glad that you guys tune in. Thank you for being here and for being a part of the lives, part of the channel, your likes, your shares, your subscribes. Thank you all. So that's basically how it works with Saturn. So yes, people fear Saturn, but at the same time, like you're not going to achieve anything if you don't have any of these traits. And it's actually tying back into the masculine and feminine energy traits that I was speaking on earlier as well, okay? The discipline, the perseverance, working hard, putting in the time and the energy and the effort towards something, those are all masculine energy traits. So it's like when you have those energies in your chart, like yes, you might have a challenging, let's say, upbringing or a harder part of your earlier life, for example, but it's like those things are kind of building you to help you go in the direction that you're trying to go in this lifetime, okay? Because it's not going to fall into your lap, okay? Unless, let's say, you're born into it, okay? That could be a different manifestation of the energy. Let's say you're born into it, like that's a different type of situation, right? But let's say you are the everyday person, okay? The everyday type of person. In that particular case, you're going to have to work hard is really what it is. That's just the way that it is down here, okay? You have to work hard. You have to put in the effort. It's not going to happen overnight. You have people who try to do energetic manipulation. You have people who try to do, you know, shady things. They try to scam people. you know, people who really go into the ego. But if you guys pay attention, you will see people who do ego-driven things always end up getting exposed. And the higher up we go in the vibrations, okay, because that's what's happening right now in the collective, the faster people are going to be exposed, right? So that's just the way that it is down here. Yeah, no, it's not going to. If you have Saturn energies in your chart, or like Saturn aspects, or Capricorn, or 10th house, you're going to have to put in the hard work and effort. And that's just how it is down here, okay? You have some people who are going to want to frolic through the fields and they're going to chill. Some people are in their resting lives. Some people don't want to put in all the hard work and effort. And that's just what it is, okay? You said telling it like it is. Always. I'm always telling you guys like it is. You said something about being born with Saturn in the first house, but now it fills out your sun and Pluto stellium in the 12th. You need the Saturnian rule back, especially when I see Saturn and Pluto, okay, taking place, or like aspects and these types of things. Like, these people will get to where it is that they're trying to go. They will, okay? Because on top of that, you have Pluto in there. Wow. Okay. So hey, Caramel, how are you doing? You said you learned yesterday that Jimi Hendrix had perfect pitch. Does that mean his guitar or his voice? I'm not sure what they were referring to, but you know what I learned? I think I started watching, I'm trying to think, I think I was on the plane. I don't think I finished watching the documentary, or did I? This was a few years ago. But I learned about him, and I'd have to double check this, and you guys can double check this too, because now this is like a while back. But what I remember was he used to divide sometimes the groups, or maybe this was just the one event that they had. Now it's kind of like ringing a bell. Maybe it was like the documentary and they had the one event that they did. Regardless, they divided like everybody in like their astrological signs or something of that sort took place. I'm gonna have to double check that, but you guys double check it as well to see what it was exactly. But like, I remember something about like people's like astrological signs and like them being divided in like the crowd, like something of that sort. So I hope you're well too. Yeah, you said you're encouraged. You will never ever quit on what you want ever, okay? Especially if you have like, let's say you have Pluto-Mars combinations taking place, or just like Pluto and Saturn. Like, the thing is, the energy will back off for a period of time, but it's not going to give up. Like, it's not a backing down type of energy. It will take a break. Sometimes it's going to go back. It's going to reassess. You know, it'll sit down. It'll make a plan. And the thing is with Capricorn, what's good about Capricorn is cardinal. So out of all the earth signs, like, Capricorn is willing to have mentors, you know, learn from other people. Whereas let's say Taurus is fixed. For example, like Taurus is fixed earth. So with Taurus, it's like, you know, sometimes they don't want mentors, or sometimes they don't want people telling them what to do. They can be like very, very stubborn, for example, with Taurus, okay? So it's like they can really operate with blinders on, and that can sometimes be what holds Taurus back, because they can sometimes get to the end destination faster if they were to talk to other people, if they were to take someone's suggestions. But it's like, again, it's fixed, and it's fixed earth. So it's like it can be very stuck in its ways. And it's like Taurus is slow and steady wins the race. So it's fine. They will get there eventually. But like compared to Capricorn's going to sit down, they'll network, they'll talk to people, and like they will be willing to adjust. For example, Capricorn energy, like they're willing to learn from people, whereas Taurus is kind of like, don't tell me what to do energetically. You said that's kind of unheard of. Pluto and Saturn natally in the first. Oh, is that his natal chart? My sign, would you like to know my sun, my moon, my rising? Happy full moon in Cancer. Hey Diana, I'm glad you made the live. You said, how about Scorpio energy? Is it like Capricorn? No, Scorpio is not like Capricorn. Scorpio is fixed feminine water. Okay, so you guys want to look at everything when you look at the sign. So Capricorn is earth and Capricorn is cardinal. Okay, so Capricorn is a starter. They are an initiator. Scorpio is fixed. So the thing is with Scorpio energy, I mean, I could talk about this for days, okay? Because Scorpio is fixed and it's feminine and it's water, Scorpio operates more so behind the scenes, okay? They're behind the scenes, they're feeling into things, they're tuning into things, they are tapping into things energetically. Now it depends how evolved are they, okay? Because if it comes to power and control, which Scorpio ultimately is all about, okay? Ultimately, Scorpio is trying to achieve power and control, and that's usually connected to wealth. So in terms of Scorpio and Capricorn, what they could have in common is kind of the end goal of maybe money and wealth, but it's like the strategy to get there is different, okay? Because it's like Capricorn is going to go out there and they're going to network, and they are all about the 5 people that they are surrounded by. And, you know, it's all about people who are efficient. You know, if people are around them and they're not efficient, they're going to drop those people, or they're going to kind of put them in a corner and they'll be like, I'll see you later, okay? You're kind of pulling me back, Capricorn, right? They don't even think twice, right? That's Capricorn Capricorn. Scorpio energetically is like they are assessing. Like Scorpio's pulling information. They are very strategic, and it's fixed, and it's feminine, and it's water. So it's more so behind the scenes. It's more so secretive. It's more so, and the thing is too, because it's fixed, like they can have a hard time letting things go, for example, okay? Because it's fixed energy. So, and it's fixed water. So it's like, the thing is, Scorpio, because it operates on the energetic planes, as soon as they pick up on the intuitive hit, you know, let's say they meet a person, they either like you or they don't like you. They've decided in the first 5 seconds what category you are being placed in. Now, the thing is with Scorpio energy, okay? With Scorpio energy, they can be friends with people. That's the thing. And this is why a lot of the time, like, let's say you have a Scorpio person in another person's life, the other person might think they're besties with Scorpio, because Scorpio energy is going to meet people where they're at, okay, in terms of the depth. So it's like that person might feel really seen by the Scorpio, but for the Scorpio, that person's not in the bestie category, okay? That person could just be in the friend category, right? So to get into like the inner circle of a Scorpio individual, it takes a lot, okay? And a lot of the time, if they met you and they picked up on shady energy from you, there's something that you're doing that's shady, there is really no turning back, okay, from that point in time. You said, what do I say about Jupiter retrograde conjunct Chiron, Cancer, and the 12th house? So you have Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Okay, interesting. I was thinking about this today, okay? The Chiron energy. So you have Jupiter conjuncting the Chiron. So wherever you guys have Chiron, you guys are healing through this particular area. You said Scorpio doesn't really keep a bestie. They might have people that they are close to, but I feel like with Scorpios, nobody is really gonna know them fully, because they are always going to keep part of themselves hidden. And Scorpios are also always going to, so they're gonna keep part of themselves hidden. They do at a certain level, yes, but they're always also going to keep changing, okay? So it's like, because they're always changing, that's the nature of the Scorpio energy, okay? They're always going through death, rebirth, death, rebirth. So like if you have a Scorpio individual in your life, like you will feel like you don't know this person fully, okay? Yeah, transforming, changing, death and rebirth, like you'll feel like you don't really know them is really what that is. Like you feel like you might know them and then they'll switch up on you, okay? And also like it depends at what level of evolution Scorpio energy is on, because it's like sometimes they do that to exert power over individuals. Like if they are in the shadows, like they're gonna do a lot of shady things to exert power and control over other people. You said, you remember I always say if it's in Capricorn or Scorpio placements are different. What is? Let me know. Okay, so back to the Jupiter retrograde conjuncting Chiron, and then you have it in Cancer and you have it in the 12th house. First of all, okay, Jupiter in the 12th house was interesting, is Jupiter can also be your marriage partner. So when you have Jupiter in the 12th house, obviously I'm not trying to speak this into existence, it's just awareness, okay? The marriage partner could be an enemy coming through from a past life into this lifetime. Jupiter in the 12th house could also be, let's say, people who are like a spiritual guru coming through as an enemy, okay, in this lifetime. So wherever you guys have the 12th house in your chart, those individuals, okay, those individuals are usually past life enemies coming through as that type of person, okay? So for example, Sun in the 12th, past life enemies coming through as the father or as masculines in your life, Sun in the 12th house. Let's say you have Moon in the 12th house, past life enemies coming through as the mother or feminines in your life, okay? Let's say you have Mercury in the 12th house, past life enemies coming through as your siblings or your cousins, okay? Or sometimes friends, okay? If you look at Mercury too, it could be sometimes like friends as well, okay? That's Mercury. Let's say you have Venus in the 12th house, past life enemies coming through as lovers, okay? Past life enemies coming through as business partners, as friends, okay? So when you have the 12th house energy, because it's the past life enemy coming through as this person, the way that I see it sometimes is like this person could potentially throw you off your path, okay? That's the way that I see it sometimes. That is Venus. Let's say you have Mars in the 12th house. Mars in the 12th house could be past life enemies coming through as masculines or sexual partners, okay? Mars in the 12th house. Let's say you have Jupiter. We just went over Jupiter too, okay? So that's basically the energies coming through. Let's say you have the Saturn, for example, in the 12th house. That's past life enemies coming through as authoritative figures, okay, in this lifetime. Or it could also be past life enemies coming through as the father as well. Authoritative figures could be literally authority, or it could be managers, it could be teachers, okay? These people are trying to restrict you. That could be Saturn. Let's see, Uranus. Well, Uranus is more so kind of ambiguous. And Neptune could be, let's say, your unconscious coming through. And even with Pluto, it could maybe be like your unconscious coming through, okay, from a previous lifetime that could be holding you back energetically. So it could be this. So anyways, back to Jupiter retrograde. Now you have it conjuncting Chiron and Cancer, which is interesting. And it's in the 12th house. So it's interesting to me because it's like Jupiter conjunct Chiron, it's like you're healing through making money in this particular area, it seems like, okay? Whether it's through Cancer types of things, so home, real estate, working from home, or 12th house types of things, whereas like, let's say the metaphysical world, let's say it is your psychic gifts and abilities, let's say it is The 12th house is so vast, you guys. It can be literally, you know, film, it can be theater, it can be dance, it can be music. Because Chiron is in there, you are healing through this particular area in this lifetime, okay? By maybe in this lifetime, you finally see that you were able to make money through these feminine energy types of things. Maybe that was a wound that you carried from a previous lifetime, okay? Chiron in the 12th house, you're healing your subconscious, okay, in this lifetime. Chiron in the 12th house could also be, sometimes this energy can go into like a martyr type of energy when you have Chiron in the 12th house as well, okay? And a lot of the time when I see 12th house, it's like you're trying to close out that cycle, but it's kind of like the way that I see it is like continuously you're trying to close it out. Like the way that I've seen it, just psychically, I can't confirm this obviously, but the way that I've seen it is like the more 12th house someone has in their chart, the more you've accumulated through previous lifetimes, and you keep trying to continuously close out that cycle, right? So Chiron in the 12th, I'm curious to know what sign you have in here as well, because there's some sort of wound here that you probably have carried over through previous lifetimes that you weren't able to clear previously for whatever reason, okay? I'm actually psychically getting you could have been taken out in that previous lifetime and you weren't able to clear it or heal it, okay? That Chiron in the 12th house. Also, Chiron in the 12th could be clearing and healing, let's say, through the metaphysical world, expressing it, speaking about it, your psychic gifts and abilities, being in tune with the feminine energy, your creativity, okay, with Chiron in the 12th house. Pluto sextiling the midheaven. When you guys have sextiles and when you guys have trines, it's a complementary energy added on top of whatever's going on. Okay, now you obviously want to look at the whole picture, but if we look at just that placement, okay, Pluto sextiling the midheaven, basically what that signifies is part of your career and your public image is you trying to get to power and control, okay? I always look at whether it's Scorpio midheaven or Pluto aspecting the midheaven. These people, it doesn't really matter what they do as long as they are in a position of power and control. That's the way that I see it, okay? It's kind of like an added energy on top. Because let's say, you know, it can be something to do with, let's say even transformation, for example, okay? Pluto sextiling the midheaven. It could be something to do with like your work or your career deals with some sort of change or transformation, or you have to go through some sort of change and transformation to activate that midheaven, okay? So it's something like this. Empty 12th house. So if you have an empty 12th house, you know, the way that you can see it is like maybe you've mastered that house already if you don't have any placements in there, but at the same time, you're welcome. But at the same time, okay, you're still going to have a sign in your 12th house. So whatever sign you guys have in your 12th house, and I have a video on here about that as well, okay? I have a video on here as well about the sign in the 12th house, whatever sign you have going on in here, okay? Basically, this is how you unconsciously behave, okay? With the sign that's occupying your 12th house. So I have a video on that if you guys want to see how do you unconsciously behave. Because for example, someone can have a sign in their first house. I'll get to your questions in just a second, you guys. Okay, so let's say you have a sign in your first house, okay? So let's say the sign in your first house is Aquarius, okay? So if you have Aquarius in your first house, the energy that you're putting out there toward the world, okay, the way the world perceives you, okay, is going to be Aquarius. So you might be unique, you might be quirky, and you could be heading in the Aquarius type of direction. Now you always want to check and see what's going on with your 12th house, because unconsciously you could be putting the vibe out there of your 12th house. So like, let's say you have an interception and you have double Aquarius. So let's say you have Aquarius in the first house, and let's say you have Aquarius in the 12th house, okay? If you have this, unconsciously, you're also putting out there the Aquarius energy. But let's say you have Aquarius in the first house, and let's say your 12th house is in Capricorn, okay? So unconsciously, you actually behave like a Capricorn. Even though your first house is Aquarius, unconsciously you behave like a Capricorn. Now, the everyday person who is more linear and sees like the physical plane, okay, and the physical reality, well, in that particular case, they might pick up on your first house. Someone who's a little bit more intuitive, they're actually going to pick up on your 12th house. They're going to say, okay, you give me Capricorn vibes, because unconsciously you're putting out that Capricorn energy. And the thing is, when you are in your unconscious, you tend to go more into the shadow. So for the unconscious energies, whatever sign you have taking place in your 12th house, okay, is going to tell you a lot, okay? It can also tell you who you were in a previous lifetime, for example. Like, let's say you have Capricorn in your 12th house. You could have been a manager or CEO in a previous lifetime, for example. Let's say you have Capricorn in the 12th house. You could have been very wealthy in a previous lifetime, for example. Like, something of the sort could be taking place, or maybe you weren't able to achieve that. You're coming through to rectify that in this lifetime as well, okay? Because it is a plane of duality at the end of the day. So it depends on the rest of the natal chart, but that's basically the idea with the 12th house, okay? It's how you are unconsciously behaving, okay, and the energy that you are unconsciously putting out there. More often than not, it tends to go into the shadow of the energy first, okay, because that's just how the unconscious is. I'm not a psychologist. That's always my disclaimer, okay? But with that being said, basically you want to master the unconscious is basically what's taking place. So check out that video for more information. You asked, how would I rank planets in terms of their influence? That's a really good question. It depends, because the thing is, you could have an aspect taking place and that could literally change the whole meaning of that planet. Usually the personal planets are going to affect you, but then also the generational planets will affect you too, because it's like, let's say you have a generational planet aspecting your personal planet, then it's like the whole generation is aspecting your internal world as well. So it's hard to say like what's going to be influencing you more, and maybe certain things are going to be influencing you more at certain points in your life as well, depending on what you're trying to do down here and what you're trying to master and like all these things. So it's hard to say. You said empty 12th house in Placidus, not in whole sign. I'm just going back up. You said, so can we trust lovers or friends, or are we doomed to have karmic partners with Venus in the 12th house? Well, eventually you progress out of there, right? That's important to keep in mind. So here's the thing. You can still have lovers, you can still have friends, but you have to keep your eyes open, because the thing is, when you have Venus in the 12th, when you have Neptune, Venus aspects, when you have Neptune in the 5th or the 7th, when you have Pisces occupying your 5th or your 7th house, okay? Even if you have Neptune aspecting your descendant, okay, which is the 7th house, okay? If you have any of these placements, okay, or even Venus in Pisces and also Venus in the 12th. We started with Venus in the 12th, okay? With that being said, you see people through a rose-colored lens, okay? So it's like you just want to get in tune with your intuition and get in tune with your discernment. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a lover or a friend or a partner or whatever. It doesn't mean you can't have a lover or a friend or a partner. It's just like you have to pay attention to these people. Are they actually who they are presenting themselves to be? Basically, when you have Venus in the 12th house, eventually you progress out of that. Energetically, you're going to grow out of that when you look at your secondary progressions. But the thing is, like, it depends, right? Because maybe you don't energetically grow out of it and you're always kind of seeing people for the divine version, for who they could be, for what it could be, for their potential, right? And you could feel disappointed a lot of the time. Also, this energy merges. So it's like when it comes to your partners and your lovers and your friends, you can spend a lot of time merging to these people energetically and not focusing on yourself. That's why it could be an energetic distraction. This is what I mean. So it depends what's going on, basically, okay? Because sometimes when it comes to relationships, like, this energy can be codependent, but also it can merge to another person. It can also, a lot of the time, what I've noticed even with 12th house energy in a chart is like these people can really put other people up on a pedestal, okay? The 12th house energies in a chart. When you have Venus in the 12th, you could put like your friends or your lovers up on a pedestal. You might think that they know more than you, or that they are better than you, or whatever it is, okay? And it's like you put these people on a pedestal, and it's like the 12th house is actually meant to reclaim their power in this lifetime. That's the way that I see it. Pull it back to you instead of putting it on another person. Let's see, what do you guys think here? You said recently you were researching Black Moon Lilith in the 1st house in Aries. You said, oh my gosh, yeah, that is intense because it's also in Aries and it's in the 1st house. Yeah, that's definitely intense with that energy. I have a video on Lilith as well. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, I am back. I am back. 30-second intermission. Okay, I'm going back up now to see what else were you guys saying up here. You said you have Cancer Mars in the 6th house. You felt a very calm energy. Oh, I think one of you guys was asking about Cancer Mars. Okay, let me go way back up here and see what were you guys saying from the beginning here of the live. You said you were a 29-degree Libra sun in the 12th house. Wow, 29 degrees. You said, any tips for nodal shift as a Virgo rising? You're probably going to go through a lot of changes. But the thing is, you also want to see, here's the thing. It's hard to say with the one transit. You know what I mean? Because it's like you want to see what else is going on in your natal chart in terms of the transits. Because you can look at the general meaning, but then you can also have something else taking place that's canceling out that energy in your natal chart. So with the nodal energy, you want to see what else is going on in your natal chart as well. You said, sadly, many previous generations never actually knew about these things and never worked on themselves before they crossed out. Unfortunately, yes, this is way back at the beginning of the live. Probably you were talking about the masculine feminine energy within. Yes, unfortunately, they didn't know. And unfortunately, they probably had to reincarnate again. Okay, so we are in a point in time now where you have the ability to learn all this information so you don't reincarnate again, basically is what that is. Okay, because knowledge is power at the end of the day. That's just the way that I see it. You said 12-degree Sun and 23-degree Mercury in Cancer in the 9th house. So would you like to know about that? You said Mercury, Mars, and Venus in Aries 2nd house. You said fast money, fast love, LOL. You said Mercury, Mars, and Venus in Aries in the 2nd. Can you tell me, are they conjuncting or no? Venus in the 2nd is a wealth placement, but again, that Aries energy starts and drops a lot of things, okay? So you want to maybe pick one thing that you want to do and kind of focus on that thing, even though Aries is going to have the urge to want to drop it. Let's see, I'm just going through here to see what I may have missed. You said you have Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, and Lilith in the 4th house. So that's a lot of shadow work when it comes to the home. Basically, you're clearing through a lot of generational things with all that energy in there. Let's see, you said you have no planets in the 9th currently. You said Cancer rules that house. Exactly. So you want to see what sign is occupying the 9th house, okay? Because earlier as well, if you guys just joined the live, we were talking about how to activate the midheaven. So to activate the midheaven, one of the things, okay, amongst many other things, but one of the things that you guys want to do is see what sign do you have in your 9th house, okay? You're learning from that particular sign. So in this particular case, if you have Cancer in the 9th house, you're learning from Cancers. Any advice for Mars and Cancer in the 12th house? Okay, I'm curious to see. Anytime I see Mars and Cancer, I always want to check and see what is going on, if there are any aspects, okay, to the Mars. Because Mars and Cancer, not necessarily the happiest placement, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and then Cancer is oppositional to Capricorn. So when you have Mars and Cancer, you want to look and see how does Mars and Capricorn behave, and you want to adopt some of the Mars and Capricorn traits. Now, you might feel tired and you might feel, you know, drained because you're going against your own natural energy within. But again, depends. Are you trying to achieve something? Are you trying to bring something through? Or are you trying to be in Mars and Cancer, which Mars and Cancer can be lazy. They can be lethargic. They can kind of just like chill all day. They don't feel like it today. They'll do it tomorrow. That's Mars in Cancer. And then Mars in the 12th on top of that is very much dreaming energy. Oh my gosh, when it's like this. Oh my gosh, when it's like that. Oh, when I do this. Now, what's interesting with either like Mars in Pisces or Mars in the 12th, what I've noticed with them is they tend to manifest, okay, energetically. Now, obviously don't hold on to this for dear life because it might not be everybody, but what I've noticed with them is they tend to, first of all, either manifest, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, or, okay, in general, with this energy, it operates best in a team, I find, okay, with that energy, because it's like this energy is very creative. And again, you know, you want to figure out how can you contain that 12th house energy because it's very vast and it's very much all over the place. So that's the thing with that 12th house Mars, okay? And also past life enemies could be coming through as masculines in your life or your sexual partners. So keep this in mind, okay, with the Mars in the 12th house, because these people might throw you off your path. I'm just going back up now again to see where was I. My opinion on the whole house system, I resonate more with the tropical Placidus. So with that being said, all my readings are in the tropical Placidus system. Here's the thing, the way that I look at all the systems is like there's a reason that these systems might resonate with certain people, because it's like the person who thought of it kind of hooked into a part of the subconscious or like part of the collective, if that makes sense. So it's like people might resonate with that. Some people might resonate with human design, but all of it is fundamentally rooted in numerology and astrology at the end of the day. Let's see. Oh, that's what you were saying, Esperanza, about the person that now you're saying you want to guess. Okay. I'm rereading your comment from earlier. Oh, good. Yes, that is the intention on my channel, you guys. One of you guys said you're watching all my videos when you're trying to interpret your chart. Yes, exactly. That's what the videos are there for. It's so you guys are able to interpret your own chart, basically. Thank you for the kind words. You guys are awesome. Let's see, I'm just going down. You said 29-degree Pisces descendant has been and will be a hot spot. Today, the North Node will conjunct Neptune on the 27th. So today, so the North Node is going to conjunct your Neptune on the 27-degree vertex? A lot of planets. Are you talking about the transits or are you talking about your own natal chart? You said, does your signature sign energy supersede your sun, moon, rising? You want to look at everything. This is the thing. I don't look at anything as better, worse, you know, more. Like, I don't see it that way. And maybe that's my Mercury and Libra. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? It's the energy in your chart and you want to work with all of the energies. If there's something in your chart you don't like, you want to see how can you rectify the energy for yourself. You might have to work harder, okay, to rectify it, but I do believe that it's possible, okay? You just might have to go against your own natural energy. So what I was saying for the Cancer Mars, okay, it's like Cancer Mars has a tendency to chill and be lethargic. And I feel like it also with Cancer Mars, with them, you know, they might explode too. You know what I mean? They might suppress, they might be passive aggressive, and then all of a sudden they explode because they are not expressing the anger. So for a Cancer Mars person, they might have to figure out how to channel their energy, right? Because a lot of the time when Cancer or Mars has gone into Cancer, there has been an eruption of energy. So either a war has started somewhere in the world or something of the sort, okay? A lot of wars have started when Mars has been in Cancer. So it's an eruption of energy, right? So it's like Cancer suppresses. They tend to everyone, they nurture everyone, and then they get, you know, like upset, and then they kind of explode. And the thing is too, okay, when this energy is super underdeveloped, well, in that particular case, what could happen is like, you know, you start an argument and it's like now all of these repressed feelings are coming to the surface. You're not even talking about what the issue at hand is. You're talking about something that happened like 5 years ago. And it's like all these things are now out. And also at the same time, you lose the argument because you might start crying, okay? And not that there's anything wrong with crying. It's just like, if you're trying to get a point across, it's like the Cancer Mars, like when it's in the shadow, this is in the shadow of the energy, like it can very much like go into tears as well, right? When it's upset and because it hasn't expressed and so on and so forth. So it's like figuring out how to express and channel your anger in a healthy way. When something bothers you, express it. You know what I mean? If you feel like you can't, at least write it down so it's out of your system so you're not kind of like exploding. That's the Mars Cancer energy when it's in the shadow, okay? It's an eruption, it's an explosion of energy. You said you have Mars in Cancer. You don't ever feel like you are lazy. You tend to chill. You're always doing something. So there's probably something else aspecting it, basically. That's the thing. When I see Cancer Mars in a chart, I automatically go and see what is aspecting the Cancer Mars. Let's say you have Saturn aspecting your Cancer Mars. Well, now you're taking on some of the Saturnian traits, right? It's kind of helping you ground this energy. So you have to look at everything. Do you know what I mean? If you look at just the placement, like there's a whole other story that's taking place here with the aspects and everything, and even the house and so on and so forth. So I'm going to look at everything. You said about the live meetings during a full moon. Honestly, I don't plan. I was going to switch up the vibes today and maybe go live another day, but here I am. You said the full moon is smack on your ascendant right now. You're 22-degree Cancer rising. You said, should you be scared? No, don't be scared. Basically, something is going to be shown to you, or a cycle is going to end and complete when it comes to your identity, maybe your personality, maybe your trait that you had. That's basically what it is. That's how you guys can look at it for yourself. You said you write a lot. That's awesome. Okay, Esperanza, send me an email and I'll tell you, because I might not do the reading. Send me an email and then I'll tell you, because I'm still like, should I do the reading? I'm trying to gauge, like, are you guys interested in those types of videos? If you guys are just joining, I'm talking about my other channel called Barbara Talks Some More, and on there I would basically read people's natal charts of people who have crossed out, mainly crossed out, but people who I tap into and hook into their energy, okay? But it's people who are not really present. One of the readings that I did is on someone who did something, bad news bears, on there as well. So I was hooked into that person's energy. So I was like, let me see like what was the reason for this. But yes, that was the original idea with that channel. You said so true. Water and fire are very prominent in your family. You said Team Placidus. Yeah, exactly. I'm more about the Placidus tropical system. I didn't really resonate with the whole sign, and the person who invented whole sign came after the Placidus system. I heard once what the reason was. I can't remember now exactly. You said you have a brother and a sister that are Cancers and your bestie. There you go. That's your 9th house. So those people, you're learning from the 9th house. You said, what does it mean to have Gemini Sun in the 12th house and also Gemini in your 12th house? Okay, good question. So you have a Gemini Sun and it's in your 12th house. So basically this is going to mute, okay, the Gemini energy. So Gemini overall is very chatty, okay? Gemini is here to speak, here to communicate, and so on and so forth. You have it in the 12th house. The 12th house is now, quote unquote, muting this energy a little bit, okay? Because the 12th house is more withdrawn energetically. That's the 12th house energy. So it's like you might have to work on, especially because you have Gemini occupying your 12th house overall, you might have to work on speaking and communicating and speaking sometimes truth too, okay? Having Gemini in the 12th house, well, it's interesting because I was thinking about that once, okay, about the Gemini energy. And I find a lot of Geminis who are interested in astrology tend to have either like an 8th house Gemini or they tend to have like a 12th house Gemini, just from what I've observed, okay? But it doesn't mean if you don't have that, you won't be interested in astrology. It's just what I've noticed, okay? Anyway, so the Gemini in the 12th house, it gives you like more of a Piscean undertone. It's like more of a watery undertone to that Gemini energy, right? So it's like, again, Gemini on its own is friendly and bubbly and they have a lot of friends and they're excited and they're learning about this and they're learning about that. It's now in the 12th house, so it's hidden, right? You could hide that about yourself, or again, you're trying to neutralize the energy within, for example. with that Gemini in the 12th house. Also, Gemini in the 12th house, for example, you want to look at all of the shadow traits of Gemini because that's your 12th house, right? It's your unconscious. So unconsciously, first of all, you behave like a Gemini, but also unconsciously, you want to look and see, you know, what are the shadows of Gemini? For example, they can be flaky, they can be inconsistent, they can struggle with communication sometimes, right? So you want to see how can you integrate those energies and those traits within the self, basically, okay? And check out my video. I have a video on here already under the miscellaneous playlist of how do you unconsciously behave based on your 12th house, okay? And this doesn't matter whether you have a placement in the 12th house. This is the sign that's occupying your 12th house overall, okay? Okay, when I say mute or muted, I don't mean that they're not speaking. You guys are so funny, okay? I don't mean that they're not speaking. It just means that the energy is more subtle. It's more Piscean. It's more watery, okay? It's not as outward, okay? Because the Gemini energy is outward energetically, okay? They're always talking and speaking and chatting and friends with everybody. That's Gemini, right? But when you have it in the 12th house, it's more hidden energetically, okay? You might hide these aspects of yourself and you might be shy, let's say even, or just like a little bit more in isolation. Like you might kind of feel drained, let's say by people, which is ironic, right? Like Gemini is here to talk and socialize, but when it's in the 12th house, like being around a lot of people could feel draining for you, right? So you'll have to focus on grounding, for example. You said, while looking at all the energies in a person's natal chart is helpful, you think that we'd all agree that looking at a chart overall is the best way exactly to get the full picture and the energies and personalities. There is so much, you guys, in astrology. I heard once from someone, I don't know if this is true, but I heard once from someone, there is up to 40,000 pieces of information in your natal chart. Personally, every time I look at my natal chart, I find something new again, okay? I find something new. So that's the thing, there's so much because you want to look at the whole picture, okay, in terms of the natal chart overall, okay? So it's basically this. There's so much going on because it's like you can look at a placement, right? But then it's like you can have aspects and that's a whole different story. You can also look at the rulers. You can also look at the root of the energy, okay? There's so much to look at. There is so much to look at, you guys. So it's hard to say when you just look at one placement. Like, yes, overall, it could mean something, but there's this whole other story. Like, for example, if I see a lot of aspects to the sun, usually this signifies to me that this person has a lot of karma with the father or masculines in their life overall. A lot of aspects of the moon, a lot of karma with the mother or the feminines in your life, okay? Unless you have a lot of aspects taking place, you're not just gonna look at the moon sign, you're gonna also look at the 4th house. You're gonna also look at everything else. There's so much to look at. You said, yeah, exactly. There is so much dualism and opposite like behavior. Exactly. Well, that's the thing, especially if you're a Libra rising, which you are in your case, your whole chart is flipped. Okay. So everything is in the opposite house, which is a whole struggle of its own. You said you always find something new. I always find something new. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense why I do that. That makes so much sense. Like I'm always discovering new information. I'm just like, wow. You're welcome. You said Pluto in Scorpio in the 10th house, squaring Aquarius, Saturn in the 1st. Capricorn rising, ruler is in intercepted house. You also have Mars in the 10th house, Sag. But Sag is 6 degrees away from Pluto. Here, kind of what I'm getting with that square, the Pluto square Saturn, there's something here with the father or authority in your life that like took your power away from you or something of that sort. You said like took your power in terms of just like restricted you energetically. Because of the Pluto energy in there, it's like part of the energy here is to come into your power, into your own power, connected to like your career because it is in the 10th house, and self-expression because it's in the 1st house as well, the Saturn, okay? You said you're Pisces rising, Aries in the 1st house. Pisces rising, Aries is in the 1st house. So would you like to know about that? You said, how can you tell who your spirit guides are? I don't do any of that. I just believe in God, honestly, at this point in my journey. Because the thing is, you don't know. Here's the thing, like you just want to get so in tune with your intuition. You don't want to go outside of yourself, okay, to look for any sort of information or guidance because you don't actually know energetically what is guiding you when it comes to that kind of stuff, the spirit guides. Like you'll have to be able to feel it. Do you know what I mean? And the only way you can feel it is when you're in tune with your heart space and nobody can really tell you, like only you will know. Do you know what I mean? But if you can try to guide yourself and not listen to external energies because you don't know what you could be picking up on, it's really what that is. You said, get out of here, 29 degrees. You said between now and the next couple of months. Oh, nice. You're going to be moving out of the 29th degree. Nice. You said all this. You said after all this work you put in, you better not reincarnate back on this planet. Yes, I definitely, you said the BRB thing is trippy to you. Why? What happens? Does the screen glitch? Like what happens on your guys' side when I say BRB and I exit? Does it freeze? I am curious to know, because when I watch the live replay, it like stops and then just continues. So I am curious to know. Anyways, yeah, back to the whole not reincarnating again. Personally, at this point in time, I find that to be the ultimate kind of like what you're trying to achieve or master down here, is trying to figure out how to not reincarnate down here on this earth plane. That's the way that I see everything. Now that could just be my own opinion, but I do have a video on that on here as well, where I talk about how to not reincarnate again, based off of my own opinion. This is the thing. I always tell you guys, it's my own opinion. Take what resonates, leave behind what does not. And it's based off of my own experience down here, okay? Living down here on this earth plane. You said, what are my, okay, so the screen pause, that's good to know. You said, what are my thoughts on collective readers? I think they hold people back. If you're a collective reader, I mean, get your bag and so on and so forth, but like those energies are energetically holding people back. I understand that a lot of them are trying to make money, they're trying to get the bag and so on and so forth, and it just is what it is. But it's like, energetically, if you are constantly watching readings, first of all, you have to ask yourself, why are you constantly watching readings and so on and so forth? So it could be this, okay? It's energetically, in a way, pulling you back, because it's like either you're waiting for something or you're giving your power away. Do you know what I mean? And this is why I understand why the, you know, theological texts were trying to tell people to stay away from, you know, like predictions and so on and so forth, because of the fact, I get it. Because when you're getting predictions or like you're waiting for something, first of all, it's putting you into a waiting energy, okay? So you're waiting for something, and a lot of those readings are connected to love readings, and that's a whole energy siphon. Personally, I find those things are an energy siphon on the feminine energy collective, okay? So yes, it's a feminine. Yes, exactly. You agree. It is this, because like now all of a sudden everyone's doing it, and I get it. It's a trend and so on and so forth. And like the thing is, it's part of the journey and it's part of the collective awakening. Like that's all great and it's exciting and all these things when you just start learning about it. Like I get it. I was there once too. I understand. Okay. But the thing is, you have to ask yourself, why are you watching these readings all the time? What is the answer that you're trying to get? Like, I understand if you're, you know, trying to confirm something that you know, but it's like, do you go into a codependency energy where you're constantly watching the readings? You're constantly in a fear energy. There's always people predicting something. There's always people saying this is going to happen. And it's like, again, I understand why the theological texts are saying not to listen to predictions and these types of things, because technically, you guys, the only thing that exists is right now energetically, okay? And that is just the way that it is. So it's like when you're waiting for something or you're in a future energy, first of all, you're putting your whole life on pause, okay? Because you're waiting for that thing to happen, okay? First of all. Second of all, that thing comes and it's like, it just feeds into this just like shadowy energy. So you'd have to explore and be like, why are you constantly watching these readings, right? Let's say it is about a person. You're giving your power away to the reader and you're giving your power away to the person. So that's another thing. You're giving your power away. And again, we are trying to master energetic sovereignty down here. I'm going to do another video on that, you guys, where I'm talking about energetic sovereignty. I spoke on that today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I try to keep it real with you guys and I tell it to you guys just because, again, of the way that I have experienced these things, thought about these things, explored, and so on and so forth. So again, it's based off my own experiences and I'm just trying to save people time, okay, and energy and also grief, okay? Because here's the thing, the more you're energetically invested in something and you're waiting, you're wasting time, yes, but the more time that you're invested in something, you're also getting emotionally invested into that particular thing. And it's like, the way that I see it is like, if it's not happening in the physical plane and it's not happening in the physical reality, it's not happening. That's the way that I see it, is basically what it is. Especially when it comes to all of these readings, when people are waiting and like, don't get me started on the twin flame thing, you guys. I already did a video, or like I spoke on that on one of my lives already with the whole twin flame thing. Twin flame energy is you mastering masculine, feminine energy within, okay? Which ties perfectly back to this whole video today, okay? You're trying to achieve the union of masculine and feminine energy within. It is a metaphor. Now, people are going to come into your life who are going to activate you, who are going to help you awaken, who are going to break down your ego, who are going to show you your shadows, who are going to be energetic vehicles to get you to the next point. Yes, okay? Because that's what everything is all about. Like, relationships are still there. Yes, but it's like, you don't want to, again, give your power away and you're waiting and so on and so forth. So it's just a lot energetically. You said you saw them as fun, but luckily you have lost interest in them. That's good. That's your higher self kind of energetically kind of, I find that when you kind of forget about something, that's just like either, again, your higher self, whatever way, shape, or form you want to look at it, like kind of blocking that out of your energetic vision, because it's like, it's distracting in a way as well. You said a lady who has another YouTube channel is clearly psychic. However, Yeah, exactly. It's always people asking about their love life. That's another thing. If you guys pay attention, it's always people asking about their love life. And again, that is the feminine energy wound. Speaking of feminine energy, that's the feminine energy wound that manifests within the feminine energy collective, okay? Within the masculine energy collective, and manifests into corn, okay? With a P. So that's the sacral chakra wounding. Once again, the feminine energy being connected to the sacral chakra. That's the sacral chakra wounding, and just manifests differently within different people, okay? Within the masculine energy collective, it's going into, let's say what I just mentioned. I'm not going to say it again. It's going to be that. It's going to be anything of that sort, okay? Within that realm, that's how it manifests within the masculine energy collective. Within the feminine energy collective, it is constantly looking for love. It's codependency energy, okay? And it's just being expressed in a different way. And I have a video on that on here as well. It's called sexual energy siphoning on the earth plane, okay? And I speak on how it manifests differently within the masculine energy collective, within the feminine energy collective. And one of you guys said, yeah, exactly. It does come from wounding. It comes from people feeling lonely, because I feel like a lot of people are lonely in one way, shape, or form, because especially like, okay, there's been the blessing of the social media since 2020. Yes, I'll get to that in just a second. That city you guys that are asking me about, I'll get to that in just a second. But yes, so yes, it's part of the loneliness like energy within the collective overall. But it's like, yes, the social media aspect of things is blessed, right? You connect with more people who are more like you, and you know, people opened up their throat chakras and they are expressing and meeting, you know what I mean? That's great, but it's like people don't really interact in real life as much, and like you can't really beat in-person interaction. You said, how does the masculine energy collective manifest itself? It turns into, the sacral chakra turns into, let's say, fear. Okay, so this is the sacral chakra wounding within the masculine energy collective. Corn with a P, okay? So corn, take out the C and put the P in there. People who watch that, okay? That's how it manifests within the masculine energy collective, okay? It is suppression of the emotions, suppression of the feelings, and not expressing the emotions, not expressing the feelings, and fear of vulnerability as well, okay? So that's how it kind of manifests within the masculine energy collective as well, okay? It could go into hypersexuality as well, because again, the sacral chakra wounding is connected to some sort of addiction, okay? And the addiction that people have is connected to some sort of feeling that they're feeling, okay? It's some sort of feeling that they're feeling that they are either suppressing or fearing feeling, or they're not even aware is there, right? So it kind of gets projected onto something, because here's the thing too, okay? Especially with like the love readings and these types of things, like it's just so interesting to me, because how many times can somebody say the same thing but like paraphrase it? It's always the same type of readings. People are always saying this person is thinking about you, this person is going to come back, this person is, you know, oh my gosh, don't get me started on the third party situation, like readings, like all of these things, right? Like it's all just like drama and chaos, and it's like, why are you giving your power away to this other person? I don't understand. Like, what is it within that person, right? So that's why you have to explore and be like, okay, what is it within the other person, okay, that you are desiring so much that you can bring into yourself, okay? Because that's what it comes down to. And this is tying back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video as well, with the masculine energy and the feminine energy, right? And like attraction, that's what attraction is. When you guys are super attracted to someone, it's because they have something in their energy field that either you desire or you see within yourself and maybe you haven't expressed. That's what attraction is. Sometimes if people get together, whether it is just being friends or whether it's physical, like however it manifests, it's an energy clearance amongst the two people, okay? That's literally what attraction is. That's why relationships weren't meant to be long-term, forever types of things, right? Because it's like you get together with a person, you neutralize whatever needs to be neutralized, and then you move on to either the next person or eventually, remember how I told you guys in one of my previous lives, and again, I know this is probably out there, but you guys will see as time goes on and as people clear these things within them, they move more toward asexuality, okay? You'll see this within older people as well, right? In general, like the elderly, right? But in general, within people, they will move toward that energy because of the fact that it's like you're neutralizing these energies within you, right? So it's like, how many times you have to have the same situation play out is really, really what that is. You said, stop reading your mind. You said, how many times can people ask the same questions? You said, that's exactly what you were thinking. It's true. It's like people are always waiting for someone to come back. And it's like, if this person isn't in your life, they're not in your life for a reason. Like, I just don't understand. What are you, like, what is there to wait for? Do you know what I mean? They're not in your life. Like, there's nothing else. Like, I'm just curious to know, because it's like, it's really interesting at this point in time. Because again, you guys, like, I have been learning about these things like since 2012, right? So I have seen a lot, okay? I have seen a lot, and it's just like now, because there's this like wave of the collective that's awakening, especially since 2020, people are awakening, and that's great, but it's like they're getting siphoned, they're getting sucked into especially the whole twin flame thing. And here's the thing too, okay? Another thing that I want to mention with this as well is the fact that like people who go into that energy and they're constantly dreaming about this person or idealizing this person, first of all, when you're dreaming about someone, you know, you're seeing the ideal version of that person. It's not who they are in the physical realm, okay? Okay, Sarah, I'm curious to know what you're referring to. But regardless, so that's the thing, like when you're dreaming of someone and you're constantly like envisioning this person, it's not the person who is in the physical realm. They are in the higher realms. You're connecting to that person's higher self, first of all, okay? Second of all, sometimes I look at it as an escape, okay? For people, so they're escaping, you know, it's like a coping mechanism thing almost, you know what I mean? Like it's like, because something that's going on in your everyday life is not satisfying, you are now escaping through this idea that there is this ideal person out there. So that's another reason it manifests. Another reason it can manifest is like sometimes people feel misunderstood, or they feel lonely, or they feel whatever it is, and then they think that there's just one person out there who's going to get them. But it's like, the thing is, like when people feel lonely, I feel the loneliness comes from being disconnected within the self. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when you are more connected to yourself and you're your true self and you're authentic and you're not deceptive, because the thing is when people are trying to fit into a certain category and they're trying to be a certain character, you're always going to feel disconnected from people around you because you're not your true self. So you want to focus on being your true self. The more authentic you are, first of all, you're authentic, so you bring that out in other people too. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like you'll create more connections with people, so you won't go into more so like the crown chakra activity. And another thing too I find too with these individuals is sometimes when people are overly active in their crown chakra, okay, in terms of going into the dreaming of this ideal person, especially in terms of romance, okay? You said, just because I said you keep moving through people and clearing things and moving towards asexual. Yeah, here's the thing, right? Like, let's say you're with one person. You don't always have to be sleeping with the other person. You know what I mean? To balance the energy. You can be friends with someone to neutralize the energy, right? It doesn't just have to go into the sexual direction. Absolutely not. But that's basically what it is, okay? So another thing too that can take place also is like, when you go off into your crown chakra, sometimes this is like, again, yes, it's a coping mechanism, but it also comes from, I find this is another thing that I thought of as well recently, is like sometimes people, when they grew up in a chaotic environment, or like the parents did not have a healthy relationship, the children, okay, looked toward TV to see what a relationship should look like, okay? So then they kind of like attach their idea of romance to the relationships on the TV, right? As again, a coping and so on and so forth, okay? So that's another reason this manifests as well, okay? How to be more connected then. I think I answered that in general in my whole tangent. But in general, okay, you guys, if you want to be more connected, you have to get connected with the self, is basically what that is. Do what you like. What do you love to do, right? And this is another thing too, like the collective is so like taught. And again, this is also connected to this video too, because I was talking about energetic sovereignty, yes, but also balancing the masculine, feminine energy within. It's like the collective is so much about putting it on another person, or like, again, giving your power away to another person, and these types of things that it's like you completely lose out, or like you don't even figure out what you want to do. What are your likes? What are your, you know, wants, needs, dreams, desires, like these types of things, you know what I mean? When you figure all those things out, like you have a hobby and so on and so forth, it changes the frequency, and then you start to meet people who are on that same vibe as you, okay? My Mercury's in the 12th house. You said, am I talking about you and your family? You said, hold on a second, I'm going back up here. You said the freaking freedom that comes to your own energetic sovereignty, your freaking life, when that distraction is removed. It's a distraction. That's also the thing. And that's something that people might not want to hear, but it's one of those things, okay? The truth will, what is it? What do they say? The truth will upset you, but it'll set you free, okay? Most things are a distraction down here, you guys. Most things are literally a distraction from what it is that you are trying to do down here, okay? You don't want to have all of your focus on another thing. And sometimes you're trying to distract yourself because you are avoiding your life path or your life purpose. Like that's another thing too that takes place. Like sometimes people are in an avoidance energy. So that's another manifestation of all of this as well, okay? I'm glad you guys are saying I'm dropping gems. As long as, again, you know, the truth might upset you and it'll take some time to integrate, but it will come up to the surface maybe later on, whenever it is ready to come up to the surface. I'm just speaking it because, again, a lot of people have a lot of grief attached because they've invested so much time into these things, into these situations, versus just like calling their power back to them. Yeah, my Mercury's in my 12th house in the tropical Placidus system. I think it has progressed now. I'm not sure exactly where it is now, but in the original chart, it's in Libra and in the 12th house. But I also have a bunch of aspects to my Mercury, you guys. I got Uranus aspecting it. I have Neptune aspecting it. I have Saturn, I think, aspecting it too. I have to double check. You said you never got this crushing on others. You wanted to be your own hero. Then you were definitely ahead of your time. You said, could I read you any harder? Yeah, so sometimes it's an avoidance type of thing. I noticed that too. Sometimes people go into an avoidance type of energy and they are avoiding what they're trying to do by focusing on another person. Like, it's all distractions is basically what that is. You're so funny. Oh my gosh, you guys are hilarious. Okay, I'm going back up to see what we guys saying up here. You said, what is up with so many women having bad experiences with Pisces men, including yourself? It depends how evolved, because here's the thing, okay? If he's a man and he's a cis het man and he's in the Pisces energy, which is feminine, how is the feminine energy being expressed within him? Is he in tune with the feminine energy, or is he trying to suppress it? Is basically what that is. You're welcome. You can check, you can check. You can go on Google or whatever, type in secondary progressions, and then you can check your chart as of today. You said you're referring to moth to twin flame relationships, Brad, that left you Hallmark movie, Bachelor shows. Yeah, it's all a siphon on the feminine energy, because here's the thing, the feminine energy, this is my ultimate theory, okay, if you guys are ready for this. The ultimate theory is if people were in tune with their feminine energy, everybody, okay? If they were in tune with their feminine energy and the feminine energy was not being siphoned, we would break down this energetic structure, allegedly, that's taking place here, okay? Up here, I hope you guys are following. And people would be in their power and they would be not energetically controlled. I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay? So that's what you guys basically want to do, reclaim your power back to you. And you know, in terms of my rant here, doesn't mean you can't be in relationships, okay? Doesn't mean this at all. You just want to be in healthy relationships where you're not obsessing over another person. You're giving your power away to this other person. What does the person want? Then you're fearing, oh, when I lose this person. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about, you know, trying to avoid or like not, or integrate, okay? That unhealed feminine energy is kind of what I'm talking about. You said, do I think my natal chart reading is a good birthday gift for someone who knows nothing about astrology? Up to you. Are they open to learning about astrology? You said, also related question. You heard that Pisces rising is the most Pisces. I've heard that too, that the rising sign is what you are really putting out there. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Esperanza. I'm glad though. I'm so glad that I have the community of you guys who just understand, because you talked about my Uranus energy in my chart. Because Uranus, you guys, if you're new here, is aspecting everything in my personal planets. The one placement that's not being aspected is aspected by the current transit, okay? So everything is aspected by Uranus in my chart. But yes, I do have readings for the whole family, you guys. Yes, I have readings for the whole family. So I have the natal chart reading, synastry reading, progressed natal chart reading. Those are my long in-depth readings. Then I also have the mini natal chart reading as well. So you guys can tell me what you want me to focus on in that reading, or I can pick and tell you guys what jumps out at me. That's the shorter reading. It's only 20 minutes, okay? I also have one question readings. If you guys have a specific question or something you guys want to know about that takes a little bit longer to explain, then I have that as well. And then I also have the follow-ups as well. So the follow-ups are meetings where we meet, okay? If you guys have done the progressed natal chart reading in depth. So the longer readings, if you've done the progressed natal chart reading, the regular natal chart reading, and the synastry reading. And it's like, if you guys have done this last year or in the past, you guys can still purchase that. You know what I mean? So I have a 30-minute follow-up, or I have the 1-hour follow-up. And in this case, we'll meet and we'll talk more about your natal chart. So it's like when I do the reading for you guys can send me an email. But if it's something that takes more time or you have more questions after the reading is done, well, then we can do the meeting and we can go more in depth. Oh, I'm so glad. So you're so nice too. Sending the vibes. You guys are so awesome. You said energy siphoning. Yes. You said you don't even like trends for trend's sake. That's Uranus energy. You said you love that you or me just went down the list for you to check for yourself. You have zero fears. Okay, good. And you said you agree with the feminine. And then you said that's a great point. Okay, good. Okay. You said you've always become obsessed with trying to change a personal reading that you don't want to happen. You had to step away from readings. That's another thing too. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to believe everything that they tell you, because you still have free will. And that's another reason why I stopped doing readings too, because most people don't understand how energy works. It depends on your energetic like frequency, right? So if you're on the same energetic timeline, then you can kind of predict what that person is going to do next. If you wake up tomorrow, so for example, you know, let's say you're on the energetic timeline that, you know, you're going to do something tomorrow and then the next day, whatever, let's say you're going to go to the gym, right? Let's say that's your energetic timeline, okay? Well, let's say the reader says to you and they're like, you're going to go to the gym tomorrow. But then tomorrow morning you wake up and you're like, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to California. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've now changed the timeline for yourself. So this is why it's like, If someone wakes up and like changes like something within their behavior, or, you know, becomes aware of their behavior, like the timeline changes, especially if you clear something energetically. You said, I don't know who that person is, said that the past is Satan and the future. Interesting. I've never heard that before. Let's see. You said also regarding what I said, you also have Gemini, Mercury in the 11th. You are 100% right about communication. It's something good. That's good. You said exactly. Okay, good. Okay, good. Good to know. I'm just reading your earlier messages. Okay, one of you guys are asking me about the fires. Let me just see. You said in regards, okay, I'm not going to say the city name, but I'm sure you guys know where it's happening in the world, okay? On the Pacific coast. You said in regard with what's happening there, do I think there's an energetic reason why things are unfolding the way they are? Allegedly, I think it's done on purpose. That's my opinion, okay? I think someone's doing it on purpose. If you guys look and see, they have a whole plan to build a new SMART space. Okay, next word is CITY. Okay, they want to build one there. So I think they're doing it on purpose. It's just unfortunate because instead of trying to tell the people that they're trying to do that, they're just like putting so much grief on people, unfortunately. And that's part of the energy siphoning. And this is what they do down here on this earth plane. Like this earth plane is filled with so much darkness is basically what that is. So that's what's going on there, okay? In my opinion, allegedly, okay? And it's all planned. It's all planned. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. You can always alter anything. You said you were thinking about our meeting yesterday and the guy on the radio. No way. He said, welcome, welcome, welcome. I love that. Let's see. Oh no, when I was saying you have a reading for the whole family, I meant there's a bunch of different options. Okay, so this is how my readings work, okay? The one question reading depends on your question. All of my readings, you guys, are videos of me talking, okay? So it's me talking for the whole reading, okay? So the one question depends how long it takes me to answer that. That's the one question reading, okay? The mini natal chart reading is 20 minutes. Same thing, video, but me talking, okay? Recording. And it's a private link that I send you guys. And also, yes, definitely look it up. I saw some posts about that. Esperanza, check it for yourselves. You guys can double check it for yourselves and see. No, I'm telling you guys, it is done. In my opinion, I think that that's what it is for sure. It's all, everything that happens. Okay, have you guys heard of the term like the world is a stage? Like everything is planned. Everything is planned down here on this earth plane. Like unfortunately, that just is what it is. Okay, so again, allegedly in my own opinion. Okay, so back to my readings. So the mini natal chart reading, it depends. It's the mini version of the reading. Okay, you guys can pick what you want me to talk about if there's something you guys want me to focus on, or I can tell you what jumps out to me, okay? That's 20 minutes. Then I have my in-depth readings, okay? So I have the regular natal chart, which is an hour long. Then I have the synastry, which is an hour long as well. And then I have the progressed natal chart, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes long, okay? In the progressed natal chart reading, I go over the original natal chart, and then I talk about the progressed version of the natal chart, okay? So those are all of my readings. Then if you have done one of the longer readings, which is progressed natal chart, regular natal chart, or synastry, you guys can send me an email if you guys want to do a follow-up meeting. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, you guys. Yeah, I spelled that out because I don't want to, I don't know what you can say on here and what you can't, but yes, that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, look it up for sure. You guys can look it up and check for yourselves. You said you definitely see that with the collective feminine energy, especially with being a late bloomer, you feel like you have a certain perception and maturity that some of your peers don't. But here's the thing. This is what I want to know. Is it actually being a late bloomer, or are you truly in the feminine energy? Because the feminine energy is not trying to get caught, okay? The feminine energy, like when I say caught, like, you know how people chase, they say the feminine energy is trying to be chased and so on and so forth. The feminine energy, if the feminine energy could live in the true, pure form of feminine energy would be isolated somewhere. It would be moving around. It would be traveling. It would not be tied down to one thing. That's feminine energy, okay? So it's like, sometimes I think to myself, and sometimes there's some people who I find are more in tune with the natural rhythm of the energies, and then other people were like conditioned through the world and programming to be like kind of go against their intuition. Like everything these days is people going against their intuition. Oh my gosh, you guys, okay. I was like with some family members recently, and one of them mentioned a lobotomy, and I was basically saying, I spoke about this on my threads too. I was basically saying how the modern day lobotomy is gaslighting, okay? That's basically what it is, because it's like people have been literally gaslit out of their intuition to not listen to their intuition at all. And this is also like my whole like opinion too, I guess you can say, or just like perspective on attachment styles, okay? Because when I hear anxious attachment style or avoidant attachment style, they're trying to like, you know, fix that within themselves. But I'm just like, maybe it's the person that you're getting bad vibes from. That's just the way that I see it. Let's see. Yeah, feminine energy is feral. Feminine energy is wild. It's not meant to be tamed. Like I was literally at the ocean over the weekend, you guys, and I was looking at the water and it was the waves, right? And the waves were so intense. And, you know, I was looking at it and one of the days, it wasn't both of the days, but like there were waves the entire time because it's just like that time of year. But one of the days, okay, the waves were literally like, basically where I was, there was like this ledge and like at the bottom you have a little beach and then like the water coming in, but it's not really like a beach where you can swim because the water comes too close. I hope that makes sense, okay? So up here, right, where there's like the ledge and like the street and so on and so forth, like literally the waves were hitting the ledge. And I was just thinking about that because I was like, you know, water, which is feminine energy, can literally be calm. It can destroy. It can literally suck you in energetically, right? Or even like in terms of water, if you look at it in terms of the metaphor, it'll pull you in, it'll whip you around. Like, you know what I mean? It's not a force to be effed with, okay, for lack of a better term. You said Lilith is feral. Exactly, because Lilith betrayed, or not betrayed, but like Lilith didn't want to conform to the rules and the regulations. And unfortunately, what happened? Lilith got vilified. You said to clarify your earlier comment. Let me see, what was your earlier comment? You said here to clarify your earlier comment regarding energy. You think it's hilarious that people don't know what to make of you when they sense your feminine energy, but when they see your athletic ability, they like you. Again, because of the way that people have compartmentalized the energy, is just like, it's just the way that it is down here, unfortunately. For now, things are changing. You said moon and ocean are so intertwined. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. It was a full moon. That's so interesting. You said you heard the book Women. Yes, interesting. I've heard about that book. I don't know exactly what it covers, the women who run with wolves, but I've heard a lot of people speaking about it. I'd have to learn more about that, but I have heard a lot of people speaking about that book. Let's see, what else are you guys saying in here? You said with your upcoming solar return, 9 planets moving into your first house, second house, and they're usually empty, probably starting something and mastering money. You said you're replying with your midheaven in Leo to the world is a stage. And then you said throws faux fur over her shoulder and Sagittarius. That's the thing. Here's the thing, you guys, okay? They want to feed off of fear, okay? And they want to feed off of chaos. And that's the energy in the earth plane. I was thinking today, actually, as I was tapping into the energy, to me, the energy feels very like Uranian right now, like very Aquarius vibes. I'm a Libra sun, but my sun is in the 12th house. You have Lilith in Aquarius, it seems rebellious. You said, what are my thoughts on destiny versus free will? Are there any specific combinations that I can shed light? Okay, so here's the way that I see it. While we are under the energetic structure, there's an energetic structure around the earth plane, okay? The energetic structure around the earth plane are basically the planets, is basically what that is, predominantly Saturn. I find that Saturn dominates and basically operates everything down here because that's what I wanted to tell you guys earlier as well. When you're trying to figure out someone's rising sign, let's say you don't know the rising sign, and by the way, I don't do this like professionally, this is just something that I've thought of in my head. Maybe there's a different way to do it, but just like the way that I would figure out someone's rising sign a lot of the time is to look at their Saturn cycles, okay? So I look at their Saturn cycles, especially to see what was happening around their first Saturn return. That's usually going to help me narrow down to see what's going on with the rest of the, and I know it doesn't feel like a Cancer moon. It doesn't feel like a Cancer moon at all. Neither to me. I was going to say that to you guys earlier as well. It doesn't feel like it. Anyways, so, okay, back to the Saturn cycles. So with the Saturn cycles, you can figure out someone's rising sign. So why can you figure out, and I spoke about this on my threads. You guys check out my threads because I write things down there when I think of these things, okay? So it's called BARJSC, okay? Threads is like the extension of Instagram. You're asking, why is that? Well, that's the question. Why am I able to figure out someone's rising sign based on their Saturn cycles? That's how I came to the conclusion that Saturn is operating everything down here. So Saturn is basically the clock, okay? The energetic clock. So Saturn also rules time. It also rules karma. Saturn also rules authority and all these types of things, okay? So I find, in my own opinion, I have to say that, okay? In my own opinion, Saturn is ruling everything down here for this time that we are currently in, right? Now things are changing. The energies are, you know, raising, like the energies are elevating and so on and so forth. Yes, okay? And this is what I mean by the feminine energy. The more you're in tune and the more you learn about yourself and figure out what's going on in your chart, it won't control you anymore, right? But the people who are playing out their natal charts the most unconsciously are the people who have no idea about their natal chart. Do you know what I mean? So this is why I talk about shadow traits and shadow things and things that could be holding you back within your natal chart and how you can rectify that, because you don't want your natal chart to basically rule your life is basically what that is. So the way that I see it is like you want to transcend, okay? You want to transcend the natal chart itself. So it's not basically ruling you. This is the way that I see it, okay? So it's this. So in terms of your question now, right? So your question is there destiny and is there free will? While we are under this energetic structure, okay? So whatever is, it's energetic, something energetically gridding the earth, okay? And it's so interesting. So I always felt it, okay? And then I saw a picture, which I also posted on my threads. There was a picture where basically, okay, so I was speaking on, this is so interesting how things connect, okay? So I was also speaking on my threads about how the planets are actually dimensional. I'm taking you guys into the crown chakra, okay? So I hope you guys are ready. So I was speaking on how the planets are actually dimensional. They're not actually physical. First of all, the whole reason we can see physical things down here on this earth plane is because of the frequency that we're at, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day, okay? So the planets are dimensional. So then I saw this picture, because I actually saw that picture a while back, but then I finally connected it. So then I went back to find the picture. The picture was this person, and then around, okay, there's all these layers, and all of the layers are the planets, okay? So it's gridded, okay? And the grid energetically is the astrological system. So that's why the astrological system is always accurate, okay? Basically, or your natal chart is accurate, or you can do predictions, or things end up playing out, right? So basically, while we are under the energetic structure, you have a certain amount of free will, but you're basically limited, okay? Because of the fact that you can only play within that energetic bracket of what's taking place in your natal chart, okay? That's my conclusion thus far. Maybe it'll change, but that's the way that I see it, okay? So on top of all these planets being dimensional around the earth plane, the way that I ultimately see it still, I still feel like the earth plane is still energetically operated by Saturn at this point in time. So the end goal, the way that I see it, is to try to either break the energetic structure down by not engaging with it anymore. So the more people become aware that there is something here that's energetically controlling everybody. And then I wrote about this on my threads too. This is why a lot of religions deem, okay, astrology to be quote unquote demonic. It's not demonic, okay? It's just that Saturn is Satan, essentially, right? And that's what's operating everything down here. But it's usually the people who don't know anything about astrology who are actually playing into their natal chart, right? So you have to learn about your natal chart and you have to figure it out, and you basically have to not feed into that, okay? I hope that makes sense. So that's the ultimate conclusion, okay? And that's my answer. I'm not sure if that's the answer you were looking for, but that's the way that I see it, okay? You said it's the thing that makes things place. You said the tongue, okay, interesting. The tongue that's spoken into words. You said that's very scorpionic. Okay, good. You said you're gonna have to rewatch this one. I've spoken on it before in my previous lives. Because the thing is, you guys, when I think of something, because, okay, at this point in time, I've come to the conclusion that what I used to think back in the day, people are catching up with now. So now I just speak everything, and you will see that people are going to start picking up on this, and they're going to start noticing this in the years to come, okay? Is basically what it is. But that's what's going on down here in a nutshell, and that's the way that I see it. It's the ultimate end goal. And also, now I'm going to take you guys even more into the crown, okay? So around the earth plane, Saturn, okay, you guys can look at Saturn basically as, okay, so you know how they talk about like people are on the astral, there's basically entities on the astral that do, so Saturn is karma, right? So because there's entities on the astral, they actually can see what you're doing on the astral plane, right? So you have to figure out how to, in a way, cloak your energy so they're not watching you energetically, right? So that's what you will see when you are on your path. You get a person sent to you energetically that's there to throw you off your path because of this. There's like, okay, because you know how they want to like bring in, or like they talk about like the BIG. Okay, so I'm spelling it out again. Okay, so the first word is BIG, and then space, and then the second word is brother, right? So everything that happens in the physical is a manifestation of what's happening in the astral plane already, right? So you know how they're trying to. I'm laughing at your comments. I'm laughing at your comments. You guys are so funny. Basically, like, you know how they talk about, oh, that's the future and so on and so forth. That's already happening on the astral plane. Like, that's what's happening. Like, it's already taking place on the astral plane. So, like, we know when people do, like, let's say, substances, right? And then, you know, they have an out-of-body experience through the substances, and then they draw like eyes. You know how they draw eyes around the earth always? That's what Saturn is, okay? Saturn is literally watching. That's how karma operates. So that being said, when people are trying to cross out of this earth plane, they basically energetically hit that. This is the thing that people are trying to master down here, or like try to figure out how to get out of this earth realm, right? Because the way that I psychically see it is they're trying to leave. They hit the Saturnian energy grid, whatever it is, okay? They're going to bring up something that you did like 15 years ago when you didn't want to share your pencil with Billy, okay? When you were in like whatever, like when you were in school, okay? They're going to bring that up, and they're going to be like, you didn't share your pencil with Billy. How do you think that feels? okay? And then boom, you feel bad, right? So that's why sometimes religions ask for forgiveness. And here's the thing, I do speak on religions and I bring it up, but the thing is religions also have two truths and a lie, right? So you want to read things and learn and read between the lines because they are not as literal, okay? They are not as literal. You're trying to see what are they actually saying in there, because again, everything is viewed through a material lens and it's viewed through a shadow masculine lens, okay? So that's current modern day religion. So you want to try to get to the roots of it all and try to see what are they actually trying to say, right? So all religions have some concept of forgiveness and so on and so forth. That's why they're going to ask, and they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, if I ever did anything to you 20 years ago, you know, I'm asking for your forgiveness now. Or sometimes, you know, in some religions, they go and talk to one of the people in there or whatever, and they have the confessions, whatever, okay? It's in different religions and it manifests different ways because people are trying to quote unquote rectify their energy and they're trying to rectify their emotions. Now the thing is, some people are in huge karmic webs. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't because you guys are probably resonating with this, but like some people are really entangled. So it might take a while to detangle that, but it's still possible to detangle that energy, right? At the end of the day. And that's connected to the lower chakras and so on and so forth. So it's all connected, right? So when people are trying to cross out, they hit the Saturnian energy, okay? It's just the way that I see it. And then they get looped back in, and then they reincarnate again, okay? So that's why you have to take the time and see what took place in your life. You know, did you do something without realizing, you know, trying to reclaim your energy back to you. And like, you have to have everything resolved within the self, right? So like thinking to yourself, and even if you did something and you weren't proud of it, at least rectifying the emotion within you. That's what I find that it comes down to. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything else. At least having the awareness that this took place. Maybe you didn't know any better, or maybe now you know better. You know what I mean? Is really what that is. Thank you. You said very hypothetical. You said very difficult hypothetical, repeat hypothetical question. You said, what if somebody did something terrible? Okay, so interesting. I was speaking about that. You said, what if somebody did something terrible early on in life? Does that mean no? That's the thing you said. Does that mean you're definitely going to reincarnate to resolve that karma? Not necessarily. And this is my opinion and the way that I see it, okay? So it's so interesting. I just started talking about that, right? So here's the thing, you know, maybe something took place, but maybe you didn't know any better. Maybe you were young, maybe you were oblivious, maybe you were just in that type of energy, right? You want to try to rectify your actions. That's why, again, in a lot of philosophies and again, in a lot of teachings, they're trying to teach you to try to elevate your energy in terms of being a good person and trying to give back, because you're trying to kind of rectify almost energetically, right? What took place. So it's like, if you can, you know, if you're able to go back to the source and maybe quote unquote apologize, if you're not able to go back to the source, at least rectifying the energy within is basically what it is. That's the way that I say it. You need to rectify the emotion within, because sometimes maybe you did something and maybe it didn't affect the person in the way that you think. Maybe it did, but sometimes you don't even realize you did something. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't even realize you did something and it affected someone. And should you be reincarnating because of that, because you didn't know? Do you know what I mean? So it's like you want to try to rectify this energy within the self. Like that's the way that I see it. While we're down here on this earth plane, you want to try to clear energetically, like within the self, like the feeling. It is the emotional aspect of things, okay? That's the way that I see it. Like you don't want to have any guilt, you don't want to have any shame, you don't want to have anything, and you want to turn basically toward God, okay? Is basically what that is, okay? Absolutely. You said, would writing it out? Exactly. Would writing it out be a way to rectify past actions? Absolutely, you could do that as well. Writing it out, okay? All these things. Let's say you can't speak to the person or you don't want to speak to the person. Yes, writing it out, okay? Energetically forgiving the self. That's basically what it comes back down to, is the way that I see it. And then when you're trying to exit this earth realm, having the intention in mind, right? Like thinking to yourself in your mind, like you did the best that you could, you didn't know any better, okay, now you know better. Like I think it's about awareness at the end of the day. I don't think it's so much about the other person. I feel like that's what people kind of get trapped with energetically when they're trying to incarnate out. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know this took place. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like if you reflect and you didn't know any better and you weren't doing it on purpose, or again, whatever, you were young or whatever it is, right? You're not always, sometimes you do things and you don't even know it's going to affect someone. Do you know what I mean? So it's things like this. Let's see. Energy is emotion. Exactly, it is. So that's another thing when I was going on my rant about the energy siphoning when it comes to romance, okay? When you guys are, and this is all in the manipulation tactics, you guys, for those of you who are maybe younger and you guys, you know, when people talk about love bombing and those are all dating manipulation tactics, what the person is trying to do, okay, what the person is trying to do, they're trying to get you to think about them, because the more you think about someone, okay, especially if you're in a state of confusion, you're trying to analyze their actions and you don't know what's going on and then they switched up, you're adding emotional energy to that particular thing, and that's how you get sucked in, okay, into these situations. And sometimes another thing also that I wanted to mention about that too, that I'm remembering now again, in terms of relationships, sometimes it's also like obsession this is so interesting because I heard this in a poem. Okay, it's so wild how the information comes through. But I heard this in a poem, and basically the person was saying how rejection breeds obsession. So if you find yourself obsessed over someone, it's probably because they rejected you. So it's this like ego trick is basically what it is. So you want to try to rectify that within the self as well. That's in terms of relationships and what we were speaking on earlier. Oh, good. I'm glad that it was helpful. Thank you. You guys are so funny in the comments. I know, it's like when I have things to say, it's like I have to say all because I have so much information, so I just start going off, but at least it's all out there, okay? And it's here and you guys can rewatch it, and whoever watches the live, you know, can get the information again, okay? But that's my conclusion thus far, okay? Hey Sarah, welcome. What's new? How are you? Yes, I am live. What's the 411? Scorpio hack, trick yourself. Exactly. You want to, because the thing is, everything comes back down to the ego, right? Is really what that is. And you guys need to understand also that the ego is basically looking for validation for its existence, okay? It's basically what that is here. And that's what's important to understand. So all humans, and this is part of the wound, and this is what, again, people who are trying to manipulate you or trying to suck you in and so on and so forth, they're kind of trying to trigger the abandonment wound because that is a human wound, right? That's a collective wound. And I speak on that in the Exploring the Chakra series as well, right? So it's kind of like when that gets triggered or the ego is not being validated, basically it's connected to the abandonment wound, which is connected to not feeling like you fit in, which is connected to the fear of death, okay? That is the trajectory of that particular wound. Oh, I like that. Yeah, community group. And then you said, okay, should I do it on Facebook? Where should I do the community group? Because realistically, I'm not going to do the Discord. I can't keep track. Like I can't be bothered. Where should I do the community group, you guys? You said Scorpios have very large egos. Absolutely. Actually, back in the day, it's so interesting you say that. Back in the day, I used to say that Scorpio's ego is bigger than even Leo's ego. Like I feel like they have the biggest ego out of all of the energies. But yeah, where should I do the group? Should I do it on Facebook? Are people on there? What should I call it? Oh, I'll call it whatever the name of the group is, okay? I still need to do the poll for that. I need to gather all of my information, my screenshots, and then pick the name. You don't like the name Discord. I know there's something like, I just can't be bothered with a Discord. I just feel like, yeah, it's just too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least if it's a Facebook group, everyone can talk to each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be like moderating it and so on and so forth. Oh, interesting. They're calling. Yeah. Well, in general, Facebook was kind of dying off. Should I keep saying that word? We'll figure something out, you guys. We will figure something out. You said you checked and it moved into your 12th house and it was in the first house. Nice. Okay, good. So you came out of the 12th house, which is nice. No, oh my gosh, we're not going into that extreme. Manning, oh my gosh, you're so funny. You said you think that people misinterpret your slow, deep thought process for ego. You know what? Here's the thing. The way that I see it, and sometimes you'll see this also with, like, let's say Sun and Sag, or even Sun conjunct Jupiter. Sometimes people incarnate, and here's the thing, like, people look at ego as if it's a negative thing. Sometimes people incarnate with a bigger ego because they need more of that solar plexus chakra energy is really what it is. That's the way that I see it, okay? Sometimes you need to have a bigger ego to do what you're trying to do down here. You know, you can't be in your corner and be like, oh, hee hee. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need the bigger ego, you know? It's not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's not holding you back. You know what I mean? Like, again, in the spiritual community, they demonize the ego. And it's like, you're not trying to absolve yourself of the ego, because if you don't have an ego, then you aren't really existing. Like, when we look at like the higher forms and like the higher dimensions, it's kind of like a soup energy, okay? That's the way that it feels. Like everything is one, everything is merged. The ego is the identity, okay? The ego helps you identify yourself, the things around you is basically what that is, okay? You need the ego to exist. Exactly. You need it to exist, especially in this earth realm is basically what that is. And sometimes you need it for protection too, in a positive sense. You don't want it to go into the shadow sense where it's controlling your life. And sometimes, again, in the shadow sense, it's controlling your life. It's keeping you comfortable. It is, you know, keeping you in fear sometimes, like in your comfort zone. It's mainly the comfort zone is basically what that is, okay? You said, as I said before, one simply needs to understand yeah, exactly. You need to be able to understand your energy or another person's energy is basically what that is. Exactly. You said I explained in one of my Scorpio videos. You said you use your arrogance as a tool. You said, what happens when full moon is on natal vertex? Maybe fated events. Because vertex is a fated event. And the way that I see it is like vertex puts you on your path, basically. Okay, you guys, if you guys want your own natal chart reading, progress natal chart reading, or synastry reading, the in-depth ones, send me an email. Okay, it's going to be in the description box below. Go under the readings tab on my website. An email window should pop up. You guys, the email window pops up. Send me the email, and then we'll go from there. I'll tell you guys all the information and the turnaround time. Is basically what that is. If you want a mini natal chart reading, that's also possible now. Or if you have a one question reading, okay? All of that is going to be on my website. I also have business guidance as well for some of you guys if you're looking to start your own business, or if you have a business and you want to just talk about business in general, we can do that as well, okay? That's on the business guidance tab on my website. And then also if you've had a reading previously or recently, okay, which is one of the in-depth ones, we can also meet and chat as well. So you guys can send me an email. It's always an email window that pops up, and then we'll go from there. You said, is part of fortune truly beneficial? I mean, part of fortune can be how you activate abundance for yourself, right? But it's like, I don't know. I don't look at it as like the main star of the show, basically. It's there, right? So you said the vertex was hilarious in your life. That's why you're where you're at today. Exactly. You said freaking ego to Leo is to simply shine. And then you said also people project a lot. So they may claim that someone has a big ego to feel better about themselves. Exactly. Okay. People demonize the ego. It's not a bad thing. You need the ego to operate down here on this earth plane. And if you're trying to, like, let's say hold space for more people, you need to have more holding space energy. That's the way that I see it. Okay. That's the way that I see it, okay? Because it's in your solar plexus chakra. Your ego, your identity, your boundaries, your masculine energy is in your solar plexus. That's the way that I see it. And you start to expand your aura outwards, the stronger that it is, okay? Let's see. Okay, great. So you guys, definitely check out my readings if you're interested in a reading. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your subscribes. Thank you for your comments, your questions, for being a part of the channel. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. Bye.